Their traditional blue and red stripes as Alex Iwobi gets the game started, rolling it back to the former Palace player Joachim Andersen. He will launch it high towards the edge of the Crystal Palace penalty area, where Chris Richards is able to propel himself upwards and with a header and send possession back into the Fulham half once again. Kenny Tete gets the ball down to the deck, rolls it up to Harry Wilson, who has scored some eye-catching goals in recent weeks. And then back into Joachim Andersen once again. Andersen, who shared the Palace Player of the Year award with Mateta for 2024. That's how recently he's been fondly in their attentions. Andersen trying to pick out Wilson down the right-hand side. Mark Gahey has got that one covered. And then Tyreek Mitchell tries to hook the ball away towards the halfway line once again. Fulham line up with Bernd Leno in goal tonight. It's a back four of Kenny Tete, Joachim Andersen, Calvin Bassey and Timothy Castagna, who's come in place of Sessegnon tonight. Sessegnon was feeling a hamstring issue at training yesterday. In midfield, Alex Iwobi dropping a little bit deeper to sit alongside Sander Berge today. Ahead of him, Harry Wilson wide on the right, Emil Smith-Rowe, Samuel Chukwueze, only his second Premier League start, and Raul Jimenez, the Mexican, who's never scored against Crystal Palace, and he's played more games against them than any other team that he's not scored against. So this is certainly an itch that he'll want to scratch tonight, as Palace tried to cross it from the left-hand side, and the ball is cut out, and Andersen sliding gets warm applause as he sends it back to the halfway line once again. 0-0 and 5 live.
Yeah, a real mix of formations and a mix of styles. You're looking at Palace, who are in their 3-4-3.
Nathaniel Klein heads the ball into the penalty area, and Nketiah trying to chest it down. There wasn't room for that, and Calvin Bassey comes across, and almost predictably, as soon as he feels any bit of contact there, he hits the deck, and he's able to pick himself up and get the free kick there. So this is 5 live at Craven Cottage, and we have a full-time report from Ross Heaton.
Full-time Chelsea 0, Everton 1, and the champions lose in the WSL for the first time in 35 games and 19 months. Everton scored early through Hayashi, and they hung on despite the hosts hitting the woodwork 4 times. It leaves Man City 6 points clear at the top. It's finished Chelsea 0, Everton 1.
Thanks very much to Ross at Kingsmeadow Stadium here at Craven Cottage. Eddie Nketiah's possession on the right-hand side. Horton infield. A little flick-on touch from Yeremy Pino. And then Emil Smith-Rowe is able to regain possession for Fulham, but a terrible pass from Smith-Rowe, and he's given possession away once again. This is Mark Gahey at the back for Palace, who is seeing a lot of possession in the very early stages here. We've only played 2.5 minutes. Daichi Kamada to the left-hand side to Tyreek Mitchell, and back into Mark Gahey once again. This will be Chris Richards with the white and yellow boots, just nudging it back in field to Maxence Lacroix, who's making his 50th Premier League appearance today. He goes long, too long, and that goes out of play for a goal kick to Fulham away to our right-hand side.
Yeah, it's interesting, Palace with Mateta dropping in, and then Nketiah, he's looking to go beyond, Pino's looking to go beyond, and then you've got the wing-backs as well in Klein and Tyreek Mitchell. They're also providing different options, so Chukwueze and Harry Wilson, they want to get high and wide on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, on the wings for Fulham, but they've got a really sort of balanced job marking these players along with the full-back. So communication is key for both sides, because the wings seem to be the primary outlets for both sides.
Daniel Munoz, who was Palace's Player of the Year last season. No defender has covered more ground in the Premier League this season. He runs really hard. And I saw a stat today that only Jurrien Timber of Arsenal is the only other defender who's had more touches of the ball inside the opponent's penalty area. He's an all-action player, and Nathaniel Klein, well, he's going to do well to match that kind of energy, isn't he? On only his second Premier League start in 2025.
Yeah, I think when he found out he was playing, he thought, oh, thanks very much, I've got a job on my hands here. He's got a job on his hands here, because Castagna from left back is bombing way up high and is alongside Raul Jimenez, so he's almost like an inside left, as a left-sided centre forward, and Chukwueze's dropping and sort of providing the outlet wide on the left. So Nathaniel Klein, his initial reaction is to tuck in, but actually it's a long old way to get out to Chukwueze as well.
Dean Henderson wearing all green away to our left-hand side, playing behind the back three, the regular back three. Chris Richards, Maxime Lacroix and Mark Gahey. Nathaniel Klein is the right wing-back, Tyreek Mitchell's the left wing-back, Kamada alongside Horton in the middle, and then Yeremy Pino and Eddie Nketiah in support of Jean-Philippe Mateta, Palace's top scorer. What a year 2025 has been for Jean-Philippe Mateta. Only Erling Haaland has scored more Premier League goals this calendar year than the Crystal Palace centre forward. Wharton gets the ball back in the midfield, but he didn't control it properly. Castagna lunges in bravely with Kamara, and the loose ball spills to Emil Smith-Rowe on the left-hand side. Fulham have it midway inside Crystal Palace territory. Good noise on this Sunday evening kick-off here on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. 0-0 between Fulham and Crystal Palace. Harry Wilson gives it back to Kenny Tete, back into the heart of the midfield once again, and Joachim Andersen to Calvin Bassey. Will be one of those heading off to the Africa Cup of Nations shortly, and he'll be a miss for Fulham. Ball goes out of play for a throw into the host. Castagna takes it, and back to Calvin Bassey again.
Yeah, it's very much a containing job from Palace. They're just sitting in, keeping the shape, keeping the composure, and allowing Fulham the ball.
Castagna to the corner flag down the left-hand side. Fulham playing right to left as we look down. Good ball into the penalty area. Picks out Emil Smith-Rowe. Wants to set up Senderberger, who scored the own goal here in midweek. Not enough room to get the shot away. Iwobi tries to dink one in. Clever. Chested down by Harry Wilson, just fractionally behind Raul Jimenez, who's struggling here to keep it alive. It's not going to count anyway. Flag is raised on the far side. Fulham were offside, but that was a clever build-up. Wilson trying to just lay it off to Raul Jimenez, and it wouldn't have counted for offside, but inventive from Fulham.
Yeah, Iwobi is going to be key today. He's got a lot of space in there outside Kamada on that the sitting two of Wharton and Kamada, so he can drift out on the right. It was his ball through to Wilson that was offside. A clever run. Because of the three centre-halves, it's going to take something like that from Fulham to break the three.
Fulham do well against teams that play with three at the back. The last 6 times they've played against a team with either a back three or a back five, they haven't lost any of those matches, Fulham. They win a corner kick down the left-hand side. Good work again from Emil Smith-Rowe, who's not had as much game time this season as he would have wanted, but he looks determined to make an impact this evening. Fulham 0, Palace 0.
You can see players that play with other players on the pitch who immediately get drawn to each other, and Chukwueze and Smith-Rowe are immediately within 5-10 yards of each other, going, just get the ball round here and we'll sort it out, we'll do something.
Palace bring everyone back into their penalty area to defend this corner. Iwobi and Wilson are the two standing over it, so it's either going to be an outswinger from Wilson or an in-swinger from Iwobi. It's Iwobi who takes it, it's flashed in, and it's headed by Mateta only just over his own crossbar. Well, he does get it away, but that was high-risk stuff from Mateta, and I'm sure he would have intended to have more propulsion on that, to put it higher over the crossbar than that.
Yeah, it was finely judged, shall we say, Conor. That thing, it got it to perfection, but you're looking, and it's the run of Tete in front of him that just drags him forward a yard, and he just goes, oh, my man's gone there, and he steps forward, and then all of a sudden the gap was there, and it was a great ball in, and as we see, so many teams so good at executing these deliveries now.
Fulham have scored 6 goals in their last 2 games, the games against City and Spurs, and they would love an early lead here. We've only played 8 minutes, so Iwobi takes the corner again, and it's clipped over the top by Emil Smith-Rowe, striking it on the half volley. He'll be disappointed not to keep that down. Palace will be disappointed the space that Emil Smith-Rowe was given here.
Yeah, from the penalty spot, completely unmarked. It's actually Tariq Mitchell stepping out. They're claiming handball. It's just off the top of his shoulder. I don't think that's going to be overturned at all or just looked at by VAR, but Smith-Rowe completely unmarked at corners.
Yeah, so to be fair to him, it's not that he didn't keep it down. The shot would have been going on target. It was deflected higher. Here comes the latest corner in. Raul Jimenez at the front post tries to flick it on. This is good pressure from Fulham. 0-0 on 5 Live. Iwobi, low ball into the box. Kenny Tete tried to flick it on. Palace now tried to step out as Raul Jimenez takes it down on his chest to the far side. There's a player down. It's Alex Iwobi, and the referee, concerned that it's a head injury, brings play to a halt. There was no advantage there for Fulham. They were in possession. They would have been happy to continue on there. So let's go for an update for the FA Cup. Gateshead against Walsall. Andy Sixsmith's at the Gateshead International Stadium.
And a second for League 2 Walsall, Connor. It's Gateshead 0, Walsall 2, and it's a wonderful free kick, left-hand side, wicked ball headed in by Aidan Flint. The Heat dream is starting to fade. 0-2.
Elsewhere, the FA Cup today wins from Macclesfield and from Boreham Wood. And Blackpool against Carlisle will be getting underway in less than an hour from now. Free kick to Fulham. We'll go for an update for the Celtic game in just a moment, but let's see what Fulham do here. Alex Iwobi standing over it, 20 yards outside the penalty area. dinks it right-footed. A little bit too much on that, is there? Nathaniel Klein wasn't taking any chances. It probably would have gone for a goal kick, but he's flicked it out for a corner. So let's see what's happening. Scottish Premiership, Celtic Hearts, Davy Donaldson.
Still 2-0 to the visitors, and the real shell-shocked fans around Celtic Park. What a performance has been by Hearts. They got the first goal, then got the second in the second half, and since then they've defended absolutely superbly. This is a huge shock, and Hearts will go 3 points clear if it remains Celtic 0, Hearts 2.
Wilfred Nancy taking charge of Celtic for the first time, putting the extra emphasis on that scoreline. Here comes the latest Fulham set piece. An Iwobi corner, clipped to the back post. Henderson found himself scrambling a little bit, and it's eventually hoofed away. Anywhere will do from Mark Gahey. That was an intense period of Fulham pressure, but this game remains 0-0. Rob Green.
Yeah, really good corners, and you feel there was enough in there, enough opportunities, especially that last one, free header at the far post. Henderson got blocked off, and just in there, you're thinking 3 or 4 half chances. If they're half chances, there's 3 or 4 of them. Statistically, you should be taking one of them.
Fulham were narrowly beaten in midweek, 2 wins in the last 5 Premier League games. They're scoring a lot more goals recently. Crystal Palace with a big prize on offer, knowing they can move up to the top 4 if they were to win. 0-0 for now. Jeremy Pino controlled it really well, and here's Nathaniel Klein trying to do his best Daniel Munoz impression, bombing down the right hand side, but he can't outpace Castagna, and Castagna makes the interception. That'll do for Palace though. They get their first corner on the right hand side.
Yeah, 11 minutes in, and it's the first foray they really had, and you're just thinking, just a bit of a breather. It does look, and you don't want to say it straight off, but it looks like a weary team, doesn't it? They've sort of stood in on the edge of their box and said, okay, we're just going to defend here for now, let's feel ourselves into the game, and if it's going to take a set piece, then so be it, they'll take it.
Corner kick for the visitors. Fulham 0, Palace 0. 5 Live at BBC Sounds and the World Service. Adam Horton to take, raising his right arm as a signal to the colleagues in the centre. Here he comes, short run up, left-footed delivery, bending towards the back stick. Kelvin Bassey rises well and heads it out, only as far as Jeremy Pino, and then Pino goes down outside the penalty area, challenged by Raul Jimenez, who immediately waves an arm of apology, and that is going to be a free kick, not in a shooting position, a crossing location for Palace, and Pino's still down.
Just a bit too quick for Raul Jimenez, took a touch and flicked it on, and Jimenez thought he was going to clear it away with his right boot, but Pino got a little nick in, and boot right in the eye.
Boot in the right in the face, yeah. Jeremy Pino says, well, hang on, is that not dangerous play? Is that not reckless play? To be fair to Raul Jimenez, and his history with head injuries and whatever, I do feel his apologies are genuine there.
He didn't mean it.
He was trying to flick the ball. Pino, who's much shorter than him, was stooping down anyway. There's no doubt he connects with the face of Jeremy Pino, and it is absolutely a free kick, but I don't think that's a yellow card offence.
Oh, well, I mean, a kick in the face is a kick in the face. I think it's still one that I think Pino's turning around and sort of thinking, it's not like this in La Liga.
Well, Pino's recovered sufficiently to take the set piece, so it's like a short corner in hockey. Fulham with everyone back defending it. Here it comes for Pino, drills it in low and hard, hoping for any sort of deflection goal bound. Kenny Tete puts it out for another corner. 13 minutes played, Fulham 0, Palace 0.
He smashed that. He fired that across Ntete. He's feeling the back of his neck. I think he's got a bit of whiplash from heading that.
Was that smashed with the intensity of someone who'd just been kicked in the face? had a little point he wanted to make there as he lashed the ball into the penalty area. Corner to Palace. As a very congested 6-yard box awaits this, it's a poor delivery in. Pino didn't lash it with the intensity that time, and Harry Wilson was able to head it away. Henderson has come way out of his penalty areas up inside the centre circle here, and he drills it long, looking for Chris Richards, flick on the edge of the penalty area. Sander Berger stretches, puts it out for a throw-in on the far side.
Now Palace will enjoy this now. It's a few minutes inside the Fulham half, and slowed it right down. Every set piece now they're taking the throw in, it's just wandering around and slowing the game down. A long throw, and each moment they have just to take the sting out of it, they'll take it.
Last meeting of these clubs was in the FA Cup back in March. Palace beat Fulham 3-0 here at Craven Cottage on their way to lifting the cup. The goals from Eze, and Sarr and Nketiah. That trio, just Nketiah on the pitch tonight for Oliver Glasner's team. Good leap in defence from Sander Berger. Here's a chance though. Nketiah tries the bicycle kick, leaning backward. It was couldn't quite get it on target, but it was an interesting attempt there from Nketiah with defenders all around him, and eventually Fulham were able to shuffle the ball away, and it goes out of play on the far side.
He had a lot of time and space in the penalty area, in the middle of the goal, brought it down on his chest, and you're thinking, can he swivel and shoot? Can he take a touch? He went for the spectacular, and it's a bit of an air shot really and all, but these long throws, Richards with them, they've got enough tall players in there, enough big players to cause real problems.
Richards doesn't have much of a runway here. He can only take one step between the advertising board and the edge of the pitch, so he doesn't get great distance on that. Raul Jimenez heads it out for Fulham. Emile Smith-Rowe is robust to the challenge. He's done really well against Wharton, and there's a counter-attack on here for Fulham. Here they come, galloping over the halfway line. Chukwueze, Palace working hard to get numbers back. Poor pass from Chukwueze, tried to return it, but that was rushed, and he showed a bit of his inexperience there. A young man making only his second Premier League start.
Yeah, it wasn't on. It wasn't there, and you know what? Emile Smith-Rowe was making the run. He's not the quickest anyway. I don't think anyone would have made that ball. It was just poorly placed, really. But you know what? You're looking at Fulham, you're looking at the pace that they do have, the acceleration they can do up the pitch, and Chukwueze and Iwobi and Smith-Rowe and Wilson. That's a real threat for them.
Earlier on today, Brighton won, West Ham won in the Premier League. Goals from Rutter and from Bowen. Palace come over the halfway line here with Mark Gahey. Pressured by Alex Iwobi. Puts his studs on the ball. Plays it towards the edge of the area. Bassi makes the interception for Fulham. Here's Raul Jimenez trying to nod it out to the wing towards Harry Wilson, but over edging that, and the ball goes out of play for a throw into Crystal Palace. Palace, who could lose 4 players for the Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco. Sarr, who is injured at the moment but due back. Uche is not a regular. Riyad, who's been injured. Doucouré as well. But it will limit the options for Oliver Glasner as Mateta comes forward, strikes a shot for the first time today. He took it early, edge of the penalty area, left-footed, and it was just a daisy cutter, comfortably saved by Bernd Leno.
Yeah, really good shape from Palace there. 1 and 2 touch football. Pino laying it through to Mateta, and from there it's going to be a wonder strike with your left foot all the way on the angle from the edge of the penalty area, and it certainly wasn't a wonder strike, was it?
No, but it was a shot at goal, which Palace will hope to get a few more of. And it was interesting, City obviously won 5-4 here in midweek. You look at the stats afterwards, City had 4 shots because there was an own goal off Sander Berge. But you know, they've scored 5 times, and Fulham will think, well, actually, we didn't give them many opportunities. That's what sort of crazy game it was.
I think the word's efficient, is it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. It'll probably please Pep Guardiola more than most things, actually, the way that's worked out. Here is Iwobi near the centre circle, deeper position for him today, with Sesa Lukic being taken out of the team. And Bassi near the centre circle rolls it calmly to his right-hand side to Joachim Andersen. 17 minutes of the big stadium clock. Floodlights illuminating the pitch with all their wattage. Smith-Rowe has it, and Nketiah doing good defensive work. He's not just sitting up like Mateta, he's working in behind, and he forces Fulham back here, and they retreat all the way back to Bernd Leno, wearing bright orange, away to our right-hand side.
Just looking at Jeremy Pino, he's doing a really good job off the ball, because when Palace step forward, he's one of the first ones to go forward. But then when he's having to drop back in, he's dropping back a lot and having to get back a lot. You just have to wait and see how long he can manage that for, because Fulham just broke there and already his shoulders sagged, and he thought, oh, I don't have to get back again.
Throw in taken quickly. Kelvin Bassi on the halfway line. Fulham playing from right to left as we look down. Smith-Rowe's been busy in the early stages. He's covering a lot of track. As Joachim Andersen gives it out to the right-hand side to Kenny Tete, who scored an early goal in Fulham's win against Spurs 2 games ago. Ball goes out of play on the far side, and that is going to be a throw-in for Fulham.
That was Pino. He just given a little trip there. He was tracking back, and yeah, he was tracking. Didn't fancy another run when Harry Wilson went round him and just kicked him over. So
free kick and not a throw, even better for Fulham.
Yeah, you're just thinking there. I was just sort of making a mental note of his body language when he was tracking back, and didn't really fancy it that much.
All the set pieces so far, both Wilson and Iwobi have stood over it each time, and it's always been Iwobi to take it. Let's see what happens here. Wide out near the chalk of the touchline on the right-hand side, midway into Palace territory. This time it is Wilson. It's an in-swinger. Henderson came early, and in the end it's a comfortable catch for the keeper.
Yeah, comfortable. It was really poor, wasn't it, really? It was no pace, lofted to the far post, and didn't really have anyone running in towards it. Missed chance from Fulham.
Dean Henderson today playing in his 63rd Premier League start in a row for Palace. He's very much established himself in that position, and only David Raya has had more Premier League clean sheets this season than Dean Henderson. Wharton, what a pass that is, outside of the left boot, Lowe just spinning it to pick out Tyreek Mitchell, who can take it down and look up. Can't make up his mind up what he wants to do too quickly though, and he holds on to possession back to Mark Gahey. Wharton again, good ball again, shot low, Eddie Nketiah scores for Crystal Palace, and they just carved their way through a statuesque Fulham defence there. It's a powerful, low, accurate shot from Eddie Nketiah. He scored against Fulham the last time these sides met in the FA Cup last season, and he's just made it Fulham 0, Crystal Palace 1 here. 20 minutes played. Palace hope that they're moving into the Premier League's top 4 tonight.
Well, it's a fantastic finish. 2 touches, but the 2 passes from Adam Wharton are out of this world. First the outside of the boot across the pitch, and then a one-touch no-look pass straight into Eddie Nketiah's feet. He just fires it in there, and he does have a really good touch to set himself up, and it just sits perfectly on the half volley. Go put your laces through it, and he fires it into the bottom corner. Tell you what, Palace looked sluggish for 10 minutes. They've slowly worked their way into it, and that was electric.
It's his second Premier League goal of the season. First one was against Liverpool in September. Sometimes strikers have got a favoured opponent, and it's funny for Eddie Nketiah, that opponent is Fulham. More goals against Fulham in his career than any other team.
It was a striker's finish as well, wasn't it? And he just stepped off the front line or off the defensive line to a little bit of space and just managed to gain that sort of half a yard in the penalty area, and then from there the touch just set it up for him, and it was asking for it, wasn't it? And the whole of Craven Cottage just stood and went, pick your spot, and he did. He finished it emphatically.
Well, this is no doubt a setback for Fulham as Anderson here tries to launch it towards the edge of the penalty area. Raul Jimenez will try a left-footed shot. It just bounced up as he swung his boot at it, and that is careered high into the crowd, way off target. That was a classic example, whereas Nketiah very much went for accuracy with his goal. It was raw power from the Mexican Raul Jimenez there.
Yeah, one player on his favourite foot, one player very much not on his favourite foot, and Raul Jimenez just took a swing at it, didn't he? And yeah, it was high and not very handsome.
Setback for Marcus Silva's team to go behind at home. They will remember though that Palace held the lead against Manchester United 2 games ago, and of course Manchester United came back to win that match. Long way to go here, but there is, we sort of mentioned that ruthless efficiency of Manchester City of the week. There's an efficiency about Palace, isn't it? They just do the simple things extremely well, and then you put in the little splash of flair of those Wharton passes, and the combination can be devastating. Wharton here, cool, calm, collected on the edge of his own penalty area, just nudges the ball to Daichi Kamada, and Palace coming out for the back, holding a 1-goal lead here on 5 Live BBC Sounds in the World Service.
When you go to coach kids, or you teach people how to play the game there, and his intervention within the game was critical there, and it was just pure brilliance. He only had 2 touches. It's so simple, just get it and do it quickly, and he never looks rushed, but at the same time the expertise, the manipulation of the ball, everything, the skills that took were sensational.
Fulham 0, Crystal Palace 1 in this London derby. And Eddie Nketiah, who likes a London derby, he's got 24 Premier League goals in his career. 21 of them now have been scored in London. He raises his game in the capital. And Anderson here rolls the ball to Calvin Bassey on the halfway line, and he'll give it up now to Emil Smith-Rowe. And there's a goal at Celtic. Here is Davy Donaldson.
Yeah, late one. We've got about a minute left to play. It was Kieran Tierney, the edge of the area, left foot shot through a ruck of players into the bottom right hand corner. It may be too little, too late, because this looks like it's going to be Hearts' day. They lead by 2-1.
Fulham have just had their best chance. Nice ball into the penalty area, and a good first touch from Emil Smith-Rowe. He's thundered a shot in, and Dean Henderson pulls off a quite magnificent save.
Yeah, really good save, and he just got tempted to go down early to his left-hand side and held standing long enough, just waited long enough. And then Emil Smith-Rowe, his strike wasn't as pure as it, maybe didn't have the pace and the power of Eddie Nketiah's, allowed him to get his right hand up and make a really good save.
Palace leading by 1-0. Fulham corner. Iwobi hangs it high, too high for Kenny Tete at the back post. Tete does an almost comical shrug of the shoulders to say, come on, what am I supposed to do with that? And it's a waste for Fulham, and it's a goal kick to Crystal Palace. and Henderson away to our left-hand side. But Fulham will be enthused with the build-up there, the way they were able to get Smith Rowe into that shooting position.
Yeah, it's down this left-hand side, and Sam de Berger, he's stepped out onto the left-hand side. Iwobi's operating mainly on the right hand of the two, but Smith Rowe and Chukwuezi's dragging way out wide on the left on the touchline, and that creates that bit of space for Smith Rowe in there.
Here come Palace down the left-hand side. Tariq Mitchell stopped by Kenny Tete. Bit of ball juggling from Harry Wilson, who's fouled, but Fulham still have possession, so you can play on. A throw in. Raul Jimenez thinks about taking it quickly, but he can't because the throw has been given to the opposition. It'll be a Palace throw on the halfway line. So nice invention from Wharton, involved twice in the build-up to the Nketiah goal. And Oliver Glasner's team, as things stand, moving up into the Champions League positions. All over at Celtic, back to Davy Donaldson.
Yeah, Celtic 1, Hearts 2. What an incredible performance by Hearts. They were absolutely magnificent throughout. It was Claudio Braga who put them in front, taking advantage of poor defending. He got a goal in the first half. Harry Milne's corner from the left, met by the right back, Oisin McEntee, to head the ball into the back of the net. And then a late goal, a late bit of drama, as ever in these kind of games. Kieran Tierney, a left foot shot through a ruck of players to give Hearts some fear, but they hung on, and they now go 3 points clear at the top of the Scottish Premiership table. It's Celtic 1, Hearts 2.
Thanks very much, Davey. Here at Craven Cottage, 1-0 to Crystal Palace away at Fulham. Free kick for the home side, which Iwobi has taken quickly here. Kenny Tete up to Harry Wilson on the right-hand side, and back to Alex Iwobi once again. Palace with all 11 players back behind the ball at the moment inside their own half. Calvin Bassey in possession for Fulham. Gives it to Chukwueze, stepping in off the left wing. Safe pass from him, though. Gave away ball earlier, and he's trying to play a bit more conservatively now. Here is Chukwueze again, just outside the D, spins away from Lacroix, and then he takes a wide arcing run around Nketiah, but he's so quick that he's managed to turn that arc into a run into the penalty area, and then Harry Wilson with his back to goal tried to lay it off. That was explosive from Chukwueze. He just seemed to get faster and faster and faster as he ran.
It was incredible jinking feet across the pitch, and he wasn't directly in towards the goal, but then when he did get going towards the goal, no one could touch him. They just weren't you just fear of God of actually getting a touch on him. He's that quick, you're never going to get to the ball, you're going to bring him down. He had a free run, and you're thinking, go yourself, do it yourself. You're that sharp, you're that quick, and then it just fell by the wayside, just actually passing it to someone else. It was never going to be as electric as that, was it?
That was lightning from Chukwueze. Fulham have got to find a way to utilise that pace. I mean, if you were to draw one of those touch maps of where he ran there, it was the most ridiculous. It was like a sort of question mark shape, a big circle and a line at the end of it. So where are you going? Oh wow, you're in the penalty area now.
Yeah, well,
incredible.
He started off out wide on the left, then drifted inside, and you're looking onto Richards now, and you're saying it was Smith Rowe came wide. So this interchange out on the left is there for Fulham.
Sander Berge to Smith Rowe down the left-hand side. 27 minutes played. Lots of time for Fulham to get back into this. The goal from Eddie Nketiah has Palace in front for now. This is Chukwueze. Here he goes again, those dancing feet. And Palace players afraid to lunge in on him now. Chance for Castagna to cross on the left. It's a good one, just too high for Raul Jimenez. And Tariq Mitchell puts it out for a throw. This has been a good response from Fulham to going a goal down here at Craven Cottage.
Yeah, Chukwueze's had enough of playing out wide on the left. He said, get me involved, get me in the middle of the pitch. I want to do something here, and he is doing something.
Cross from Anderson is headed by Richards, and it's going to be kept in play by Chukwueze by the byline. Left-hand side, steps into the penalty area, rolls one in low. Castagna can't shoot. Iwobi does, but it's straight at the keeper. That had to go either side of Dean Henderson. Bit of a let-off for Palace there as Fulham's improvement continues.
Yeah, failed to clear the cross, Palace, and they had a couple of goes at it, and it fell to Iwobi. He took a touch, and he's just waiting for it to drop. Didn't get the contact. Dean Henderson grateful. It just bobbled through to him.
Fulham 0, Crystal Palace 1. Game of many chances so far. Here is Joachim Andersen with the bright orange boots, and he's gone long this time. What a pass to pick out Harry Wilson. Chests it down into the penalty area. Claims he's been fouled by Gahey. It's going to be a corner to Fulham anyway. Mark Gahey, very shrewd there. Slammed on the brakes. Knew that Wilson was going to thunder into the back of him, but not technically a foul.
Yeah, brilliant from two centre-halves. One for the pass from Anderson, and then Gahey is just really good defensive play, knowledge of using his body. He's actually waiting for Henderson to come out. He can read it that well. Henderson wasn't on the same page, and it goes out for a corner.
So corner which Harry Wilson and Iwobi continue there two-man act over. It's going to be Wilson to take. In-swinger again. Punch at the front post by Henderson, puts it out. Well, I was going to say for a corner. There must have been a foul in there because the referee has indicated a free kick to the visitors. And Henderson, was he impeded? We're going to get to see a replay of this. I think Sanderberg had his arm wrapped around him a little bit. I mean, not a proper bear hug or anything, but certainly enough to impede the goalkeeper.
Yeah, holding the arm, wasn't he? And it's just the other side. We've seen a lot of goalkeepers under pressure this season. And there's a line there where you're thinking, is it too much pressure? That goalkeepers union, I'm always going to say it. Any touch is a foul. That was a foul.
Always the most protected species, goalkeepers.
We're a rare bunch, we're a rare species as well.
That's certainly one way of putting it. As Chris Richards heads the ball forward, flick on by Nketiah on the edge of the Fulham penalty area. This is Klein, nice first touch, tries to play it back into the centre to Pino, and Fulham were able to clear the ball away. Chukwueze back to Castagna, and there's a nice zip to the game at the moment as Fulham re-establish control of possession on the edge of their own penalty area. Fulham 0, Crystal Palace 1 here. The goal from Eddie Nketiah, his second in the Premier League this season. Kenny Tete has possession on the far side, gives it back into Joachim Andersen, who scored an own goal against Crystal Palace, his old team, in this fixture last season. Chukwueze gets in underneath that, scoops it forward for the running Emile Smith-Rowe, but alert goalkeeping from Henderson, and he gets out and he grabs the ball first.
Yeah, he just doesn't have the pace, Emile Smith-Rowe, to make that run in behind. And just seeing a tackle from Joachim Andersen on the replays, right on the edge of the box, completely wipes out Nathaniel Klein, doesn't he? Just thinking, that was close into being inside the box.
It's very close, and of course this is the limitations of VAR. Inside the box, they'd be all over that. Because it's outside of the box, if the referee says play on, it's unless it's a red card offence, they will not get involved. But there was certainly a case to say that the referee missed one there. That should have been a free kick on the edge of the box.
Yeah, it's a reprieve from Sam Barrett, because that would have been checked and I think would have been given as a penalty. But as a technicality, it can't be a penalty because it's the other side of the line.
Area. The tiny margins, it was only millimetres outside. Here's Iwobi trying to use his upper body strength, but Tyreek Mitchell is very strong too and manages to get the ball off him, and having done so well initially, he then way overcooks the pass too far in front of Jean-Philippe Mateta, and Fulham regained possession inside their own half.
Yeah, Mateta was about 5 yards offside as well, so I think it's a reprieve for both of them really. But it's good from Palace because they are dropping in, they are sitting in, and they're showing threat and danger. There's enough there when they get the ball.
Poor pass by Alex Iwobi, intercepted by Nathaniel Klein, but he can't hold on to possession, so the high transfer turnover rate of the ball continues. Here's Chukwueze again, setting off on one of his mazy dribbles. This has become one of the features to the game as he just runs directly across the halfway line there. Kenny Tete under a lot of pressure as well to hold on to possession. Anderson, low to the feet of Alex Iwobi, edge of the penalty area. Can he make the right decision here? He takes his time, back out to Kenny Tete on the right hand side. Now Wilson spots that Calvin Bassey has some space, urged to shoot from the crowd. He doesn't fancy that, gives it to Castagna on the left hand side. Here comes a cross, not accurate enough, straight to Kamara, who's able to volley it away for Crystal Palace, and it goes out for a throw into Fulham, and they feel they've got a bit of momentum now, and they are quick to get the game restarted.
Yeah, it's good pressure from Fulham, but you just wonder that Palace it's very much a back five when they haven't got the ball. Their three centre halves will say, look, if you're going to cross it in, yes, Raul Jimenez is here, he's a dangerous threat, but we've got three of us in front of the goal. He's going to have to do something special to get a contact.
Fulham 0, Crystal Palace 1 on 5 Live on the World Service on BBC Sounds as well, whereas as John Murray loves to remind us all, you can pause and rewind the live commentaries and listen back to sections that you want to hear again. This is Kamada on the halfway line, gives it short to Tyreek Mitchell, and back again to Gehi. So Brighton's draw earlier on today leaves them for the moment in 7th position. Above them, Everton made a big move yesterday, the win against Forest to go 6th. Chelsea will be pushed back to 5th place as things stand, because Crystal Palace, leading here in the live Premier League table, are up into 4th place behind Villa in 3rd, and then it's the top 2. That ball into the penalty area, Nathaniel Klein, he's going to get a second bite of the cherry here. Great block by Calvin Bassey. He tried to shoot the first time, it came straight back to him. He steadied himself, Nathaniel Klein, and it's a very important defensive block by Bassey as Fulham get the ball away.
Well, he should have scored twice, and you can't really work out how the ball from such a deep cross across the goal has reached to him. He's onto his left foot, which isn't his favoured foot, stepping in. He's almost had a complete air shot with the first one. and his standing foot has laid it off perfectly for his second strike, and Calvin Bassey sliding in has made the block, but another let-off for Fulham.
And if you're listening to Five Live earlier on, you'll know that Lando Norris is the new Formula One champion. He finished third in today's season-ending Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, enough to give him his first F1 title. You can hear all about that on the Checkered podcast, Checkered Flag podcast, including, I'm sure, Steve Crossman's a really good interview with Lando Norris, which is well worth listening to. A lot of emotion there, and you could really feel what it means to that guy to finally get what he's been chasing. Fulham 0, Crystal Palace 1, 10 minutes to go until half-time here. Calvin Bassey brings it out from the back for Marcos Silva's team. Marcos Silva, who in his managerial career, he's only ever had one home win in games against Palace. That's when he was Everton boss some 7 years ago. It's been a bit of a bogey team for him. Good slide by Kamada in the midfield to get it back for Palace here, and maybe the chance of a counter-attack as Nketiah puts it one side of Bassey, tries to run around the other and goes down, and the referee feels that it was Nketiah who sort of enforced that contact. Bassey is down now feeling his right leg, and he seems to have come off the worst of that, but Nketiah, who wanted a free kick, he's been adjudged to be the guy who fouled.
Well, it was a really poor touch from him. It went straight through to Bernd Leno. Calvin Bassey was making sure he wasn't getting there, and Nketiah knew it was a poor touch, so he went to ground. I think Sam Barrett overall just thought, I'll tell you what, I'll just leave that well alone. I'm not touching that. But it's been a nice balance to the game that Palace have shown enough without the ball and shown enough shape and spirit and scrapping and fight there that you're saying, well, I'll tell you what, you can have the ball, Fulham, you can have Chukwueze coming at us, we're going to deal with everything that you're going to throw at us, but we're going to prove problems here. So there's enough in there in the second half for Fulham to hold on to, even though there's still 9 minutes left in this half. You're thinking there's enough encouragement there for Fulham, whereas Palace is saying, well, we're okay.
Okay, Calvin Bassey is okay, play resumes. Eddie Nketiah's goal still has Crystal Palace in front here, away at Fulham. Hearts, who survived a late Celtic goal to pull clear of the top of the Scottish Premiership. In the Women's Super League, Everton ended Chelsea's 34-game unbeaten run. Plenty of reaction to elsewhere in the sporting spectrum over half-time here. But for now we concentrate on the live football at Five Live as Mateta gives it up to the edge of the penalty area. Down goes Nketiah, no foul. Chance for Fulham to break away here. The Welshman Harry Wilson. Calm ball to Sander Berge, the tall Norwegian. And he'll bring Fulham up over the halfway line, supported by Castagna on the left-hand side. Fulham crowd urging him to get on with it a little bit quicker as the ball goes out of play. And a throw-in for Timothy Castagna. Left full-back position. Castagna in the team today because Sessegnon was injured in training yesterday.
Slightly different down the left-hand side for Fulham. We're talking about the link-up before, but when Chukwueze goes away, there's no one in front of him, and Castagna's right-footed, so he wants to step inside, so there's no threat in behind, and Palace knows he's got to come inside.
Here is Chukwueze again, running in a mazy dribble along the edge of almost the D of the penalty area that Palace are defending. Chukwueze arms open, wants to get the ball back again here as Iwobi gives it to Tete on the far side. Again, Chukwueze hovering on the edge of the box, and it's played in his general direction. A nice flick on Wilson! That's an outstanding goal! A flick 1-2. Harry Wilson bamboozling the Crystal Palace defence on the edge of their penalty area, and then when he was in to finish, such flamboyance outside of the left boot, curling away from the goalkeeper Dean Henderson. Fulham get it back to 1-1. That is a picture-perfect goal.
Well, there it is. It is something special from Harry Wilson. You're wondering how are Palace going to be broken down, how are Fulham going to get through them? Well, he's just steps off the back three, and he just a little outside of the boot flick into Raul Jimenez, gets it straight back off him. Clever centre forward play. He's perfectly waited for him to get the first time strike away, and he got criticised. Marco Silva criticised him, saying sometimes he misses the easy ones. Well, that with the outside of the left boot is a really, really hard finish, but it's a brilliant one, and it's something special to equalise.
That is a special goal. That is worth looking out for a match of the day this evening. I mean, it's kind of one of the cliches, but if that was a Brazilian or someone scoring that, Harry Wilsinho, we would be saying, what a strike. People from this part of the world just can't do that.
Well, you saw Adam Wharton's ball for the Crystal Palace goal with the outside of the left boot, switch in the play, that was as good, if not better, for the finish there. That was just, I'll tell you what,
dazzling.
Sometimes as a keeper, when you have that scored against you, sometimes you just applaud as you're diving, you're watching it go by. I remember Oscar, I think it was, scoring one for Chelsea against me at the bridge, and I just went, fair enough, that's very good.
Great to have Rob Green with us, and what is now a rocking Craven Cottage. Fulham who've come from behind in what's been a week of comebacks for them, really. And they came up just short against City in midweek. Now they want to really establish a comeback and maybe come away with the win as well. Oliver Glasner's team, who were impressive and took their goal well, haven't really been able to build on the 1-goal lead. And I think Marco Silva's going to be particularly impressed with how his team have reacted. No one's head dropped. They've remained positive. Fulham have played their best stuff in the game since going behind, and now they've been rewarded with the equaliser as Klein comes in the attack down the right-hand side. 5 live for the BBC. We're live on BBC Sounds and the World Service as well. Fulham 1, Crystal Palace 1. Chris Richards has possession on the right-hand side for Palace, rolls it back into Lacroix, and Lacroix gives it out to Gehi on the left-hand side. And now on to Yeremy Pino, who tries a little flick, quite resembling actually what Harry Wilson did on the edge of the penalty area, the build-up for the goal. This one, though, was just in the middle of the midfield, so not quite as devastating in effect. Richards gives it to Klein on the right-hand side. This sort of shaken Crystal Palace awake here, conceding that goal. They look more determined now, but Nketiah loses it inside the penalty area. Fulham trying to clear away. Wharton wins an important header, and Bassey's got work to do here. Left-back position, he's going to try and shield it. Doesn't have enough momentum to flow on a play for a goal kick, but he does a little Cruyff turn, and brilliant from Bassey, and Fulham tried to clear it away towards Smith Rowe, but an important interception from Wharton. It's an entertaining game, this. I'm really enjoying it.
It's got a really nice flow, really nice balance to it. And just going back to that goal, as a professional, a former professional, you're really quite jealous of people who can step onto the stage and just do something that you try only ever in training. And that ball was something I would never have dreamed of trying out on a pitch on a match day.
Here is Tyreek Mitchell in around Kenny Tete. Oh, he's not around Tete because a sliding Dutchman just veers back and just, cruising along the turf to make the sliding tackle and to win the ball back for his team. Iwobi does some good work in the midfield. Tried to play it through to Smith Rowe. Richards comes across and slams the ball out of play. Fulham can sense that they are now the team on top. You can feel it from the crowd.
Yeah, it's been really, really intriguing. You've got two teams that, Palace are saying, well, we've got enough to here. If we get it forwards, and someone is going to do something. We're not quite sure what it is, but someone's going to do something and do it well. And they invariably have done that, and they certainly did that with the goal. Whereas Fulham are saying, well, we'll sustain pressure, we'll keep the pace up, we'll keep you pemmed in, and somehow we're going to find something magical from close quarters. And from their goal, that's what it was, something decent, just stepping off the line and creating something just that little bit special.
Harry Wilson on a rich run of form at the moment. That's now 3 goal involvements in his last 3 Premier League games. He's got 2 goals, 1 assist. Here's Chukwueze. Socks down really low. He must have tiny shin pads, Chukwueze. It's like ankle socks that he's wearing. And as long as you have a shin pad, there's no regulation as to what side it has to be. And no way through for Kenny Tete on the right hand side, but he's helped out by Anderson here. He'll play it back to Bernd Leno.
I assume the shin pad has to cover some part of the shin. I can't see how those socks are covering any parts of his shin.
But you'll see, you see the postage stamp side. Absolutely. They're giving you no protection at all, but it's sort of ticking the box. Yes, does the player have shin pads? He does. That's a rule I can see being changed, by the way. Here's Kelvin Bassey on the halfway line. Ooh, nearly through for Chukwueze. Richardson makes the interception. Fulham 1, Palace 1. Tete flicking it on to the Fulham goal scorer Harry Wilson. He comes out unceremoniously, dumps him on the deck. Free kick to Fulham on the far side, and there's a bit of a tussle here as they all try to get back to their feet. Palace don't want Fulham to take the free kick quickly, and the referee's got to come across and just keep the peace.
Yeah, Mark Gay's just decided that, I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to hound Harry Wilson out on the touchline, and then pressed a little bit too hard. Conceded the free kick and thought, oh dear, I'm out on the touchline. I don't want to be exposed out here. So Sam Barrett just taking the sensible option and just saying, look, just slow it down and clear out the lines.
Harry Wilson's 4th Premier League goal of the season. He is Fulham's top scorer in the league. So there was appeals for a handball there, but referees just play on. Chukwueze's won it back in the midfield here. Yeremy Pino thought he was fouled. He can't believe he didn't get a free kick. Fulham give it to Emile Smith Rowe on the left-hand side. And he'll pass it back in field to Sanderberger, onto Alex Iwobi. Now Chukwueze, lovely little flick. They're pulling out all the party pieces now. Palace get it back though. Kamada lunges his way around. He had to take such a swerve to get away from Tete that he actually slipped afterwards. But fair play to Daichi Kamada. He was able to hold on to possession, and Palace still have it here. And he's worked it to Richards, who'll come over the halfway line on the right-hand side. 30 seconds or thereabouts of normal time remaining in the first half at Craven Cottage. You're about to find out what's going to be added on for stoppages. There haven't been major delays. You wouldn't have thought there'll be much to go, as Mateta has a nice little layoff to Kamada, who wasn't able to control it, and Raul Jimenez, back helping out the defence, will come charging now down the right wing. Good burst from the Mexican. He's the player who provided the assist. He was the provider of the return for the 1-2 that Harry Wilson manoeuvred on the edge of the penalty area. Really good touch from Raul Jimenez. As Castagna has it now on the left for Fulham. Into Smith Rowe, Horton sticking close to him. And Fulham go back into their own half, back to Joachim Andersen. 2 minutes to be added on for stoppages here ahead of half-time. The first half that has flown by. Palace, who led for 18 minutes. Eddie Nketiah's opening goal, but Harry Wilson with a quite stunning equaliser. It'll be one of Fulham's better goals they've scored this season, I'm sure. Wilson now commits a foul, lunging in on Pino, and that will be a free kick to Crystal Palace midway inside their own half. Rob Green.
Yeah, a bit of respite for Palace now. They're looking just to slow it down, take the time. I'm sure they'll shuffle everybody forward. And the cameras here are zoning in on Marco Silva and Oliver Glasner. You're thinking the two managers going in at half-time will be relatively pleased. You can't ask for any more from either side. They've both shown their qualities. They've both got their little moments right and got the quality right. Fulham, you probably say, you'd have the ascendancy in terms of weight of the game, but they're at home, you expect that. So it's all to play for in the second half. You expect Fulham, with their options on the bench, to come into the fore more, maybe in the second half, and maybe to take a stranglehold of the game. Palace to say, well, I'll tell you what, we can create something special again.
Fulham 1, Palace 1. Fulham may be bottom half of the table, but they are difficult to beat at home. They've won 4 of their last 6 in the league here at Craven Cottage. The 2 defeats were narrow defeats. Obviously that 5-4 game against City in midweek. They also lost by a single goal to Arsenal. The only home games they've lost in recent times have been against the very best teams in the division, and only by a single goal margin each time. As Kenny Tete comes down the right hand side here for Fulham, gives it back to Harry Wilson. And this is Calvin Bassey. Could either of these teams take the lead ahead of the break? Very much the closing stages of the first half now. Bassey plays a floated ball into the penalty area. You could tell he was frustrated that none of his teammates tried to get onto that. Mateta's played a good ball here though, and Nketiah's in a sprint with Bassey. Bassey did really well to keep up with Eddie Nketiah there. Holds him literally on the edge of the penalty area. The two fall in a heap, but the referee says play on. And Bassey's raw strength completely outmaneuvered Nketiah there as the whistle is blown for the half-time break. Palace feel a little bit of a bitter taste in their mouth there. They thought Nketiah was fouled on the edge of the penalty area, but it's goals from Nketiah and from Wilson that leave this match all square for now.
Yeah, 2 goals of real quality highlighting up what is a very evenly balanced game, and Fulham majority of the possession, the majority of the pressure, but just that moment there, that glimpse from Eddie Nketiah shows what Palace can do. All of a sudden a breakaway and they're through, and so there's enough there for Fulham to worry about, enough for Palace fans to be encouraged about. We're into the second half, and I'll tell you what, it's been a really good game.
Yeah, this is entertaining, it is nicely balanced. We're looking forward to the second 45 minutes. For now, Fulham 1, Crystal Palace 1 at the Cottage.
Conor, Rob, thank you very much for the time being. More reaction from Lando Norris, the new Formula 1 world champion, on the way. We'll hear from Nuno Espirito Santo, West Ham manager, not happy after Brighton's late equaliser finished 1-1 between those two in the Premier League. On the BBC 2 at 7 o'clock, it's the final session of the UK Snooker Championship final. Judd Trump and Mark Selby at the York Barbican. Jamie Broughton is there.
Mark Selby leads Judd Trump by 6 frames to 2 going into that evening session after dominating this afternoon. Selby knocked in breaks of 77, 51, 97, 70, 105 and 66 as he built that 4-frame lead, and it means Trump needs a fast start when play resumes to have any chance of turning this final around. 10 is the target to be crowned champion, and if Selby wins, that will be his 3rd UK title and the 10th Triple Crown success of his distinguished career.
Lots to get through before the second half at Craven Cottage. Let's start with the news with Lisa McCormick.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Steve. Lando Norris has secured his first Formula One championship title. The British driver came third in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix behind his McLaren teammate Oscar Piastri and Red Bull's Max Verstappen, but secured enough points to take the top prize. His mum Siska spoke to Steve on 5 Live after the race.
It's overwhelming, emotionally draining, but we backed Lando at all the good and all the bad times. We always stood on his side, but not just Lando, it was all the children. It's a dream come true for Lando, that's for sure.
Police say a 3-year-old girl was among those treated by paramedics after a group of men used pepper spray during a suitcase robbery in a car park at Heathrow Airport this morning. A 31-year-old man's been questioned by officers on suspicion of assault. The government's warning that young people could have their benefits taken off them if they don't take part in new training and work experience schemes announced today. Nearly 1 million 16 to 24-year-olds aren't in work or formal education. Investigators in India are working at the scene of a nightclub fire in Goa in which 25 people died. Police believe it was caused by an exploding gas cylinder in the kitchen. And Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the second phase of the US plan to end the Gaza war is close, but key security questions remain. He's met the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, who's urged him to move ahead with the plan.
Good morning, everyone. It is 5 Live Breakfast.
Kick off your morning with the biggest stories and the headlines everyone's talking about.
We'll dig into what's happening and exactly what it means for you.
The new measures that we have seen will probably affect a much smaller group of people.
This is 5 Live Breakfast. And we're on the ground at the world's biggest sporting events.
Bringing you reaction, insight and exclusive interviews.
This week's a huge game, every game's a huge game. But in a series of this context, it's massive.
Wake up with 5 Live Breakfast every morning from 6.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Premier League Sunday
With Steve Crossman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
There's more from Lando Norris on the way shortly, and we'll speak to our correspondent Andrew Benson. In the Premier League, Brighton scored a 91st minute equaliser to draw 1-1 against West Ham. VAR had a really long look before confirming the goal. The West Ham bench were fuming. They think it was a foul on their defender Mavropanos. They think it was a handball as well from Brighton's goal scorer Rutter. Here's the West Ham manager Nuno Espirito Santo.
Honestly, I don't understand. I saw it, so I'm confident that I can comment on it, and I don't understand how the goal is given.
What aspect of the goal? Is it the handball? Did you feel there was a foul on Mavropanos in the border?
The situation should be, I think there's contact on Dino's head. It's a dangerous game. Then the ball hits the arm of Brighton's player. Don't tell me that is natural position, because he comes and he goes in another direction. So it's hard to take, mate.
You are really upset. Have you been into the officials and will you seek an explanation?
No. There's no point on that. There's no point on that. They do their job the best that they can. For sure, VAR also analyze it. They have a different opinion. I cannot change their opinion, but they are the ones that decide. But it's hard to take, so we go back to London.
Nuno with George Cummins. Lines open now for 6:06. Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. They'll be talking about the latest at Liverpool after that explosive interview that Mo Salah gave, saying that his relationship with manager Arne Slot has broken down. Hearts beat Celtic 2-1. They're 3 points clear at the top of the Scottish Premiership. That was new Celtic manager Wilfred Nancy's first game in charge. In the Women's Super League, Chelsea have lost their first league match since May 2024. The first under manager Sonia Bonpastor. They were beaten 1-0 at home to Everton. That leaves Manchester City 6 points clear at the top after their 3-0 win over Leicester today. Let's hear from the Chelsea head coach, Sonia Bonpastor.
Really frustrating result for sure. We are really disappointed, but if you analyse the game, we knew Everton was coming, and we needed to be really switched on transition. That's how they scored the first goal early on the game. But after, I think if you look at the statistics again tonight, we created enough situations, opportunities to win the game. So it's really frustrating result. But that's what happens sometimes in football. And the performance was not a bad performance from us. But today we couldn't score and we couldn't win the game.
And early on, Katrina Makaru hits the post and then Hayashi scores. And that really changes the complexion of the game when the opposition takes an early lead, doesn't it?
For me, I would say, yeah, they were able to score first. But if you look at the statistics in terms of possession, chances created, and all the other statistics, I think we had the complete control in the game. The only thing we couldn't score, so I didn't think that goal changed the physiognomy of the game. But just the fact after Everton was leading the game and we had to try everything to come back in the game in terms of result, and it changed a little bit in that aspect.
The Chelsea women's head coach Sonia Bonpastor there, Flo Pollock with the questions. Other results: Leicester City 0, Manchester City 3, London City Lionesses 0, Brighton 1, Spurs 2, Villa 1, Manchester United 2, West Ham 1. In the FA Cup second round it finished Slough 1, Macclesfield 3 after extra time. Boreham Wood beat Newport by 3-0 at 5:30 in the final match of the day in the FA Cup second round. It's League One Blackpool against National League Carlisle United. Shojo Saka.
Yeah, there are around 1,000 Blackpool fans here compared with 4,000 away fans from Carlisle. That's because the 1953 FA Cup winners Blackpool are really struggling at the moment. Winless in 5, down in the League One relegation zone. They lost to lower league opposition in the EFL Trophy in midweek as well. In contrast, Carlisle, 2 divisions below them, are flying, unbeaten in 11. They come here with genuine hopes of an upset. They're flying in the league. The last round of the Cup, they knocked out League One Reading with an outrageous late comeback. All masterminded by manager Mark Hughes, who is, of course, a 4-time FA Cup winner himself.
Shojo, thank you very much indeed. Lots of other FA Cup action going on. It's finished at Gateshead. Andy Sixsmith.
Yeah, no cup set here, Steve. Gateshead 0, Walsall 2. Daniel Carnew's penalty put the Saddlers ahead before Aidan Flynn's second half header sealed it. Only a super display from Gateshead keeper Tiernan Brooks stopped Walsall, adding to their lead. So Gateshead's attentions return to staying in the National League, but the Saddlers' super season continues. Top of League 2, now into the third round with the chance of drawing one of the big boys. Gateshead 0, Walsall 2.
England captain Ben Stokes has had some really strong words for his teammates after their 8-wicket defeat to Australia at Brisbane earlier. It means they're 2-0 down in the 5-match series.
It's the moments in the games where it's on the line. Is it fight? Is it character? Is it the mentality that we're taking out there as a group? That's what I've got to find out. That's what I've got to ask. It's a saying that we said a lot here in the dressing room. Australia isn't for weak men, but a dressing room that I'm captain of isn't a place for weak men either. So yeah, look, we need to dig deep. I need to dig deep, and I need to get this team in a place where we do go out there in Melbourne and we are seriously switched on and understand where we are right now. But yeah, I got no doubt about the guys in there are capable of winning the Sashes. I'm capable within myself as a leader and as a captain, and my skill set as a player. But yeah, look, we can't not speak about the things that I think has potentially gone wrong over these last 2 games.
Loads more reactions. That interview on the TMS podcast and the BBC Sport website. And the third test in Adelaide begins a week on Tuesday. It'll be 11 p.m. for the start on 5 Sports Extra and BBC Sound. Right, Lando Norris is the new Formula One world champion. He spoke to us after winning what is his first title by finishing third here at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
To finally say those few words, I'm the world champion. You never know when you're going to achieve that. Like, it always feels so distant, it feels years away. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we've done it. Yeah, the good stuff. That was the first person I went to when I got out of the car was my mum and my dad. They made me cry a little bit more. This is their championship. This is my parents winning it just as much as it's me, my team, everyone around me. They were the ones who let me live this dream that I had when I was a kid.
That's Lando Norris, 8 p.m. Checkered Flag podcast. We'll bring that to you here on 5 Live. Top story on the BBC Sport website right now is all about Lando Norris, written by our correspondent Andrew Benson. Who's winners? Who's with us? And breathe, Andrew, just about, I think.
Not quite yet for me, Steve, but yeah, still a bit of work to do tonight.
It was the story that felt most likely, and yet here we are, and it just feels so big.
Yeah, it was interesting watching Lando Norris when he got out of his car on the grid, the emotions that were going through him. He left his helmet on for so long, trying to control himself. Even then, he couldn't control himself when he was talking to doing the TV interviews afterwards, tears in his eyes. You could see how much it meant to him. And there's been a lot of back and forth this season about who will be the best world champion and what have you. But Lando Norris has had a really good season in the best team. And, you don't win the Drivers' World Championship on your own. It's a misnomer in a way. It's about the best driver in the best car. And Lando Norris has been that. And it's, let's not forget that he's beaten Max Verstappen in a Red Bull that allowed Verstappen to win 8 races. That's one more than Lando Norris, including this season. It's not been a smooth sailing season for Norris. He had a difficult start particularly, but he's worked hard and he's put in some excellent performances, and it feels like a really well-deserved win.
And he's dealt with a huge amount of scrutiny as well, because last season he was kind of in and around it, but I think from day one of this season he was always going to be heavily discussed. You know, he has a camera in front of his face 23 hours a day probably. He's had a lot to cope with.
He has. He's been under a lot of pressure. He said, Steve, as you say, he did come into the season as the championship favourite because McLaren were the stronger car over the course of the second half of last season. What was interesting then, though, was that although that was the case, he didn't actually close the points gap on Verstappen through that entire period. So he had some growth still to do. And so it can't have been easy for him when he came into the season. Yes, he won the first race, but then he went through a really sticky patch where he wasn't getting on with the car. Oscar Piastri, his teammate, was by far the stronger McLaren driver through that first period of the season. And the team worked with Norris to improve himself. Changes were made to the car, but even then, at the Dutch Grand Prix at the end of August, he was 34 points behind Piastri, and he's just been talking in the press conference with us about how people were assuming that the strong form that he's had after that were all about sort of releasing himself a little bit of the pressure. He said it was the opposite. He said all it did was make him double down and work harder, try to understand what wasn't quite working, how he could get more out of the car, how, as he put it, he could gain 34 points on a guy who was performing at a really high level in the same car. I think at that point also the McLaren drivers didn't expect Verstappen to mount such a strong revival as he did, so he's had to face that too, and we know what that means. We've heard Zak Brown, the McLaren Chief Executive Officer, refer to Verstappen as like the character in a horror movie who keeps coming back to life to terrify you. And it felt like that from time to time. So he's kept his nerve, he's kept his commitment, he's kept his focus, and he's come through it. And in the end, although there were some tense moments today in the race, it always felt pretty much under control.
It was really emotional speaking to his mum live on 5 Live just after the race. And I was really struck by one thing in particular that she said. She said, I have seen a different Lando in the last 6 months, almost one that she didn't recognise. As a driver, when was the first time you looked at him and thought, World Championship material?
Well, look, he's been quick. It's been really obvious he's been quick from the day he stepped first into a Formula One car. You know, there's a piece up on the BBC Sport website at the moment that I've done as a sort of kind of profile piece that talks about his development. You know, this is a guy who in 2018 raced in the Daytona 24 Hours, which is a sports car race, as teammate to Fernando Alonso, and was every bit as quick as him. And when he came into Formula One, he was every bit as quick as his teammate at the time, Carlos Sainz, who had 4 years of experience. He blew away Daniel Ricciardo when he joined McLaren. So it would be wrong to underestimate just how quick Lando Norris is. But what his mum is talking about there, I think, is the development that he's gone through. And you get that from people in McLaren as well. Team principal Andrea Stella has been talking about it this evening. Same in that profile piece that I mentioned on the BBC Sport website. He's just developed and developed and developed. He's looked at himself. How do I need to improve? How can I get better? And this period that his mum was talking about, he's obviously doubled down on that focus and thought, this is an opportunity for me to achieve my dream, and he's nailed it.
Andrew, thank you. Crack the knuckles, crack on. We'll speak again.
Thank you.
Cheers. That's correspondent Andrew Benson. Back to Craven Cottage. Connor.
Thanks very much, Steve. Yeah, both teams back out, getting ready for the second half here. 1-1 between Fulham and Crystal Palace for now. It's a game that has featured 2 highly impressive goals. Lovely strikers finish, low and hard into the bottom corner from Eddie Nketiah to put Palace in front after 20 minutes. But 18 minutes after that, the goal of the game, maybe one of the goals of the weekend, a lovely little flick by Harry Wilson to play a 1-2 with Raul Jimenez on the edge of the penalty area, and then Wilson swept his shot home, curling outside to the left boot beyond the despairing dive of Dean Henderson. So 1-1, Rob Green alongside me, and we're looking forward to see which way the pendulum swings next.
Yeah, it felt like a game of pendulum swings, didn't it? The Fulham were in the ascendancy to start off with. Palace worked their way into the game, scored a great goal, and then Fulham took the game again and said, right, OK, we're going to create something here, create something a little bit special, and they did that. So it was a close half, one that you feel in both managers will be encouraged by, but Marco Silva, with the options he's got on the bench and the the yards that Palace have already done this season, you're feeling like saying, right, take this game by the scruff of the neck in this second half, and really you could run away with it. But Palace will dig in.
No changes in personnel over half-time. Give you a full rundown of the teams in just a moment, but Fulham all in white, playing from left to right as we look down, and they are attacking the Hammersmith end. Away to our right-hand side, Calvin Bassey gets possession on the halfway line. So it's Bert Leno in goal for Fulham. Back four, Kenny Tete, Joachim Andersen, Calvin Bassey and Timothy Castagna, who's in the team tonight in the absence of Ryan Sessegnon. Sanderberg alongside Alex Iwobi in the midfield. Iwobi's battling well here for the moment. Sanderberg gives it forward to the edge of the area. Castagna's little flick was weak, and Smith Rowe tried to get control of it, but it was a crunching tackle from Nathaniel Klein, and Palace are able to power the ball away down the other end of the field. At the front four for Fulham, Wilson, Chukwueze, Smith Rowe and Raul Jimenez. The Palace team, Dean Henderson in goal, the regular back three of Chris Richards, Maxence Lacroix and Mark Gahey. Then it's Nathaniel Klein on the right hand side. No Daniel Munoz today. It's only the second time that he's missed a Premier League game since he joined the club, but Klein has come in for his first Premier League start to the season. He's done well actually. Tyreek Mitchell on the other side with Daichi Kamada and Adam Horton in the middle of the midfield. Yeremy Pino pushing forward, and then Nketiah and Mateta pretty much operating as a front two. Tete has possession for Fulham here, gives it short to Alex Iwobi just inside Palace territory, to Harry Wilson on the right hand side, back in field to Iwobi again, back into their own half go Fulham with Tete and now Joachim Andersen.
Yes, very much pretty much a 5-2-3 without the ball. Palace.
Here's a good surge. Chukwueze again, can't find the pass at the end of it, but there's definitely a raw diamond in there with Chukwueze. He'll need a bit of polishing, but they've got a player here. Here's Wilson, right-hand side for Fulham. Tries to come infield of Tyreek Mitchell. Now that makes a bit of space for Tete. If he can get there first ahead of Gahey, which he does, and he shoots left-footed, and it goes across the goal and wide. Good industry from Tete. Didn't give up there. He was able to send Mark Gahey for the local paper, and then he tried, maybe off balance, to lash in the shot a bit too forcefully, but it goes wide. It was good intent from Fulham. 1-1 it remains.
Yeah, he's just looking at Mark Gahey's tackle, and he's fortunate that Kenny Tete's really honest, because he could have gone down there, and you just feel that if he'd have felt for the challenge, as they do in modern parlance, then that would have been a penalty. I'm not even sure, there might have been a little bit of contact in there, but good for Kenny Tete. But that was a defensive full-back's weaker foot finish, wasn't it?
Yes, well, pleased to report this game has picked up where it left off at the end of the first half. They're straight back into it, hammer and tongs. Mark Gahey here just inside Fulham territory will give it short to Daichi Kamada, and then he's rolled it to Pino, and further on to Mateta, wide. Usually those end up in the back of the net. Mateta, with Bassey leaning into him, tried to side-foot it into the bottom corner, and he sent it a couple of feet wide.
Yeah, really good from Kamada and Pino, and from that angle he had one way out in the first half. This was a lot closer. Maybe the little nudge from Bassey, but it's a mishit going through on goal. It's a poor finish from him, but it's a chance for Mateta.
Oliver Gazner was quite animated there, and he's speaking of the touchline. He enjoyed the build-up, the way that worked at Kamada through Pino into Mateta. It was very direct, very efficient, which is always where Palace appeared to be at their best.
Yeah, it's much like the first goal in that they got the ball forward in really good fashion, but then from there, one straight ball through the lines into the front line, and it was excellent touch and finish. This one wasn't so good.
4 minutes played in the second half. 1-1, 5 Live, World Service of BBC Sounds. Kenny Tete gives it to Andersen on the halfway line, and he really is the quarterback, isn't he? Just flings out a long-range pass. This one will not be controlled by Chukwueze. It was off target from Joachim Andersen, but he does like a long crossfield pass.
It's interesting how they set up and that crossfield pass, because Castagna's, much like in the first half, is joining Raul Jimenez up front, and then you're looking at Nathaniel Klein at right wing back going, do I go out wide, do I stay narrow? And that creates that space. There's the temptation for him. There's the ball for Andersen.
Chukwueze beaten to it by Nathaniel Klein. Palace regain possession. Richards sends it up over the top, but a backpedaling Calvin Bassey is able to get his head to it. Now this is Kenny Tete. He'll come forward now. Roar for the crowd because they sensed an opportunity, but the pass does not find Raul Jimenez. And it's comfortably for Palace back to goalkeeper Dean Henderson away to our right-hand side. 1-1 here. Earlier on today, it was also 1-1 in the game at the Amex between Brighton and West Ham. Brighton needed a very late stoppage time equaliser in that one. Tyreek Mitchell, bang on the halfway line, rolls it back to Marquet here. And he'll give it further infield to Maxence Lacroix and across to Chris Richards. They're just trying to assert a bit of control here on what has been a rather manic game. That is a poor ball forward. Just as I speak of control, Lacroix returns possession needlessly to Fulham by blasting it down the centre of the pitch. Not quite sure what he thought he was doing there.
No, you just do feel that Palace sometimes in possession get a little bit impatient. They don't know how to break teams down. When they have done it, when they've been direct and kept it on the floor, they did it then for Mateta previously in this half, and for the goal obviously it's once or twice in the game, but there's a lot of time where they're sort of wondering, what do we do, how do we break down this team?
A lot of Palace goals come from set pieces. That Nketiah goal in the first half, only the 9th time they've scored from open play this season. And Nathaniel Klein to come out on the edge of the area, tries to shoot, but it wasn't on really. Too many opponents in the way. Sanderberger makes the block, and then Klein is a bit late on Calvin Bassey as the ball goes out for a throw in on the far side. Klein injured himself there trying to lunge for the tackle. I say injured, he might just be adjusting his boot, but he's slow to get back up to his feet.
Yeah, Dave, to come out of there, he just ran into traffic, didn't he, really? And that kind of sums it up, doesn't it? They get into a really good position, and they've got numbers forward. They got 5 players into the attack, and then it goes square, and then it's a touch, and then they lose it, and you just think, when they're direct, when they're fast, and when they get it there in with real purpose, it looks so different for Crystal Palace.
Yeah, less is more when Palace come on the attack. 1-1 here. Kelly Tete, loads of space coming up from right back. Gets almost to the halfway line. Sanderberger right alongside him, demands possession and receives it. This is Joachim Andersen. First time ball forward towards Emil Smith Rowe. Down goes Raul Jimenez. No foul by Lacroix. Play answers the referee. Smith Rowe almost into the penalty area. Gives it to Chukwueze on the left hand side. Cross into the middle. It won't be off the post. Followed up by Smith Rowe. And Fulham from 1 goal down. Turn it around at Craven Cottage to lead Crystal Palace 2-1. It came thundering back off the post after the header from Alex Iwobi, and it fell into the lap of a well-positioned Emil Smith Rowe, and Marco Silva's team lead. Fulham 2, Crystal Palace 1.
Well, they've turned it around, and sometimes you have a moment of brilliance with a goal like they did with the first, and the second time round a moment of luck, because Alex Iwobi should really score with the header. They work it out really well initially through Smith Rowe, draws bodies in with a number of touches around the penalty area. Chukwueze with a fantastic cross. Iwobi stealing in, completely unchallenged. You're thinking, just head it home, just put it in. And from there, off the post, it really should have been an Iwobi goal. But Smith Rowe did all the good work early on. Gets the reward for being in the right place, the right time. 1-0 down, now 2-1 up.
Fulham could be moving ahead of Brentford, where the reason you hear the boos is because there's going to be a video assistant review of this. Now, on the big screens, they're saying a possible offside, and on at the moment there's a suggestion Raul Jimenez may have handled the ball too in the build-up, but the official announcement of the board, offside. Now, is Chukwueze offside as it's played to him? So Chukwueze was positioned wide out on the left wing. Smith Rowe gave it to him. It was his cross that then eventually was headed off the post by Iwobi, and it fell down to Smith Rowe to score. But as Chukwueze receives it, what do you think, Rob?
I think he's offside. It's a boot, half a boot maybe, but it's really, really tight, and it's one that to the naked eye it's a tough call, but it's the right call.
So the boos and the cheers will tell you the dissatisfaction of the Fulham fans, but Chukwueze was offside, and Emil Smith Rowe's goal will not stand. So 1-1 this remains.
A real let-off for Palace there, because there's actually no reason for Chukwueze to be offside, and it is, looking at the image on the big screen, a toe, nothing more. It is so tight that, but he's looking right along the line, and he doesn't need to break through that line, does he? He just got to receive the ball and cross it. So it's a real let-off for Palace, and a sloppy one from Chukwueze.
Smith Rowe, who scored against Manchester City here in the midweek, and It's a long time since he last scored in 2 games in a row. Here they go again, Fulham. Attacking down the left-hand side with Chukwueze. Extra careful to stay onside this time. Hustling with Klein, gets to the byline, ball goes out of play. And that's going to be a throw into Fulham down the left. Let's check in the FA Cup. Blackpool against Carlisle with Shojo Saka.
League 1, Blackpool 1, National League Carlisle 0. Unusual scenario here, Connor, with the away fans from Carlisle outnumbering the home Blackpool fans by 3-1, but it's the home side who's taken the lead through Tom Bloxham. Scramble in the box, he poked it home. Blackpool 1, Carlisle 0.
Thanks very much, Shojo. So here in the Premier League, 1-1 between Fulham and Crystal Palace. Elsewhere in the FA Cup today, Macclesfield, after extra time, beat Slough by 3-1. Boreham Wood were 3-0 winners against Newport. Walsall into the next round, winning 2-0 away at Gateshead. And as Show just been telling us, Blackpool in front there against Carlisle. 1-1 here at Craven Cottage. Chukwueze back to Castagna, back to the halfway line to Kelvin Bassey. But just joining our coverage, Emil Smith-Rowe thought he'd given Fulham the lead, but it was disallowed, offside in the build-up. Here's Raul Jimenez. Can't hold on to it in the midfield. Palace get it back. Daichi Kamada. Short ball to Yeremy Pino. Tried to flick it on to Mateta. They're unlucky there, Palace. It clips the heels of the big French striker, and Fulham regain possession.
Yeah, there's a sense of injustice around Craven Cottage, isn't it? Just raise the temperature up a little bit, and you're feeling that Fulham now, the bit between the teeth, it's one-way traffic, really.
Klein off balance, clears away, bounces into the crowd, throw it to Fulham, and they take it immediately. Sanderberger to Timothy Castagna. And sometimes that sense of injustice can be harnessed by a team. I always thought Sir Alex Ferguson was a genius at that the whole world is against us kind of mentality, which can propel a team onto good things. Can Fulham harness that energy that's clearly evident inside Craven Cottage here? Palace who took the lead, but Fulham have been the better team since then. Here's Wharton. Plays a somewhat blind pass to Mateta, and it's intercepted by Anderson. And here is Harry Wilson onto an energetic Iwobi. Back into Harry Wilson again, just outside the D of the penalty area. Fulham playing left to right as we look down. Chukwueze to Castagna. This is all within 15 yards of the Crystal Palace penalty area. We've almost reached the hour mark. Chukwueze back to Sanderberger. Looks to return the 1-2, but intercepted by Chris Richards. But all Palace can do is clear their lines here. They don't retain possession, and Fulham come at them again. Kenny Tete up against Tyreek Mitchell. Mitchell puts the ball out of play. Throw into Fulham on the right-hand side, still 1-1. Yeah,
he's got to change it, I think, Oliver Glasner. The wave after wave of attack and pressure coming now, and you don't feel like there's an outlet for Palace just to stem the flow, just make a change the real sort of momentum shift within the game. They don't have a lot of attacking options.
Bassey goes cannoning into Eddie Nketiah. The ball spins high up into the air, and it's fallen to Mateta, and he's rolled in front of Yeremy Pina, and he's up against Bassey here, who stops him very well from Bassey. Roars of approval. These 50-50 battles have been won by Fulham at the moment. Iwobi drives on over the halfway line. Wilson won't touch the ball because he knows he was coming back from an offside position. Allows it to run through to Raul Jimenez, who gets trod in the foot, but as the ball goes out of play by the byline, it'll be a goal kick to Palace. And no free kick for Raul Jimenez there, who just seemed to pull up, hopped as the ball went out of play.
But you're right, Connor, it is a 50-50s that have been won by Palace. There was one moments before where Joachim Anderson on Mateta just stepped in and just trampled all over him, and you're thinking, that's your centre forward, that's your big man who's getting run over. Is this wave after wave of pressure, and it might not be turning into shots and goal, but you feel it coming from Fulham.
Around the corner from Yeremy Pino, Mateta trying to barge into Kelvin Bassey. Battle of two big men there, and Bassey's having a fine game, gets the better of him, takes a couple of touches to control, and then launches it back down into the Crystal Palace end of the field once again. We're about to hit the 60-minute mark.
You feel like Kelvin Bassey's enjoying it, isn't he?
Yes.
He enjoys this challenge. He's got one for the ego up against Mateta. He's got one that he can really get his teeth into.
Palace have it at the back. Richards, remember the prize is a very valuable one for Crystal Palace today. 3 points would move them up to 4th position in the Premier League. Throw in right in front of the Crystal Palace technical area. You can see Oliver Glasner down there, very animated at the moment, on his feet, pointing his hands, bellowing on the instructions. Tyreek Mitchell comes forward for Palace down the left-hand side. Mateta made a charge into the penalty area, but it's short. to Yeremy Pino. Tried to return it to Tyreek Mitchell, won back by Kenny Tete, another who's played well today. Tries to send it down the channel for Harry Wilson to run onto, but Mark Gahey has everything under control there for Palace, and they regain possession. Deep breaths needed now. Palace looking for some composure. They know they've had some very good results lately. Lacroix. Gahey leaves it. This is Mitchell on the left-hand side. And an almost hushed descending over Craven Cottage at the moment.
Yeah, Kamada's just dropped into the back line now, just to gain that extra man, just to get the foothold and say, let's spend some time on the ball, let's just play on it, and let's... Oh, now they've lost it.
Just giving it away, but Palace need that. They need the breather of some possession here, because it was getting quite frantic, the regularity with which Fulham were attacking there since the disallowed goal. 1-1 for the moment. Gahey in possession, and he launches it right-footed out towards the right wing. He's looking for Nathaniel Klein, stretching, unable to keep the ball in play, and it goes out for a Fulham throw.
Just keep it. Just keep the ball. You've been under the pump for the opening 15 minutes of the second half, and there's no emphasis on needing to attack. You don't have to. You can bide your time, but decides for a crossfield ball, and they're under pressure again. I'm just looking across, Con, and there's 10 subs warming up on the far side, and when I mean warming up, they're all stood watching. None of them are moving.
Yes. Yeah, there's no great physical activity suggesting anyone believes they're coming on any time soon. This is Wharton on the halfway line for Palace. Bassi wins back possession once again for Fulham. Kept in play by Castagna on the far side. It won't be screaming for it here because he's got space inside the centre circle. Yeremy Pino tries to get back. And Iwobi could hear the shouts of man on from thousands of voices, so he knew that challenge was coming. Wilson onto Tete down the right-hand side, and he plays it off the shins of Mark Gahey and out for a throw-in to Fulham on the right-hand side. Big week of Champions League football coming up here on 5 Live. We'll bring you commentary of Inter Milan against Liverpool in the Champions League on Tuesday. You can hear Spurs against Slavia Prague on Sports Extra on Wednesday. Big one, Real Madrid against Manchester City as the ball is played into the penalty area and Chris Richards wins a header around for the visitors Crystal Palace, but Fulham get it back immediately once again. 62 minutes played, Fulham 1, Palace 1.
Yeah, just looking across now, Connor, and it is substitutions that are the order of the day, and it is Crystal Palace, and you feel it's needed. That the dynamic movement of Fulham is so much greater than that of Palace when they attack. And it's not always coming to open chances, but they look sharp, they look bright. Palace look like they're flagging.
Here's Chukwueze, picked it up 10 yards outside the box, challenged by Kamada. Fulham fans thought that was a foul. Referee Sam Barrett had a close view of that, and he says no, and Palace will come forward. Fulham will go crazy if Palace were to score here. This is Tyreek Mitchell into the penalty area. Anderson trying to shield him away from the central part of the pitch. Mitchell's got a twist and turn, holding on to possession, well held up by Anderson there, but he has kept it alive. Mitchell onto Kamada, onto Wharton, who's never scored in the Premier League, and his shot cannons off the shins of Kenny Tete, and now it's Fulham's chance to come on the counter-attack. Sander Berge challenged roughly in the midfield by Chris Richards. Again Fulham are baying for a free kick. Again the referee says play on. Good ball from Mateta to Mitchell on the left hand side, corner angle of the penalty area, sends it in low and hard, and it's prodded on, and Pino couldn't get it in, and Nketiah couldn't either, and in front of Bernd Leno there was panic there for Fulham, but they survive. Good spell of pressure this by Crystal Palace. Wharton gives it to Mark Gahey. 10 men back behind the ball for Fulham, and the home fans, realising their team need a bit of a dig out here, raise the volume like never before. Mitchell tries to come forward down the left hand side, and he's tackled by Kenny Tete, and it's a free kick to Fulham, and a roar of approval from the home side. 1-1.
Now let off for Fulham, feeling that let off for Bernd Leno. He went to get it and was second to it from Eddie Nketiah. Pino free inside the penalty area, got stabbed towards goal, and then from there it's a little collision. Eddie Nketiah's got every right to go for the ball as it drops inside the 6-yard box. Bernd Leno saying, I've got 2 hands on the ball. I don't think he had real control of it as Nketiah went for it. It's a rare breakaway by Palace. You're looking at some tired bodies out there for them, slowly trudging off. Eddie Nketiah and Mateta.
Yeah, Nketiah and Mateta make way. Cristianos Uche will come on, the Nigerian, and Jefferson Lerma, the Colombian. So 2 midfielders coming on, interestingly, in place of 2 attackers for Crystal Palace. Eddie Nketiah, who got his goal in the first half and what was his 50th appearance for Palace, and Jean-Philippe Mateta, who'd one really good chance that he put wide. So Kristanis Uche, just his 5th appearance in the Premier League. Can he provide something different, some spark for Oliver Glasner's team?
Well, he's gone as straight on up front as the centre forward, and Mitchell's going back into left wing back, so they're staying with the back 5 and pretty much a 5-4-1 really. Some Lerma slotting inside alongside Adam Wharton, and Kamada going on the right hand side, so Uche's got a lot of work to do up front.
Another long searching ball forward from Joachim Andersen, headed out of play by Nathaniel Klein, so that's a throw into Fulham on the far side. Castagna comes up from left back to take 1-1, and we're almost midway through the second half here on 5 Live. Calvin Bassey on the halfway line, bit of elevation as he plays it forward, but too much, and it bounces through to Dean Henderson, all in bright luminous green away to our right hand side. At the moment it would be a point apiece. 2 very valuable points that could be added to either team who could go and grab a winner here, and this is going to get tense and nervy the closer we get to the 90 minutes.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Pino's allowed to drift a little bit more now, I think, and Kamada's stepped up into more of an attacking role, but how long they last as the attacking options, I'm not sure, because their legs will be going as well.
Here's Chukwueze inside the penalty area, tries to fire it in from a tight angle. Any touch off anything, it would have gone in. It flashes agonisingly in front of the face of goal and goes out for a goal kick. But he's been a live wire tonight. There's been little flashy moments where Chukwueze looks so dangerous.
I think he hits it too well. He fires it across goal, and if he'd miss-hit it, it would have gone to a Fulham player. He's just drilled it at the far post, and Dean Henderson knows that it's going wide and knows that no one can get to it. Well, another sub, this time for Fulham.
Change for Fulham. The Brazilian Kevin comes on for Emile Smith-Rowe. Smith-Rowe, who scored against Palace last season at Selhurst, who thought he scored here before it was disallowed because Chukwueze was offside in the build-up. But Smith-Rowe played well tonight, really worked hard, and now Kevin introduces some fresh legs.
Yeah, he was impressive, wasn't he? He linked up well with Chukwueze, and then obviously linked up well for his goal, which got disallowed.
Kamada, what a good pass that is, releasing Tyreek Mitchell down the left. First time cross, low into the middle. Uche so close but wide. It came off his shin pad. He's appealing it should be a corner. I think the last touch was off the attacker there. He just needed a firmer connection, and it might have nestled into the bottom corner, but it was just a delicate glance off his shin pad, and it came through and out for a goal kick.
Now it's just a foot race across the near post, and I think it was off Galvin Bassey. Just a little nudge, and then off the knee off Galvin Bassey.
Could have been an own goal.
Yeah.
Wow.
He wasn't on target though. It wasn't that good a finish.
So no own goal, no corner either. Fulham get away with one there. 1-1.
And it's opened up a little bit with the substitutions. All of a sudden, Uche with a bit of dynamic movement up front, and feeling Fulham now with Kevin wide on the left there. Something a little bit different with Chukwueze on the right.
It's been a nice balance to the game, feeling that both teams feel that this is one they can win.
Yeah.
No one's going to settle for the draw here. They're going to go for the winning goal. Castagna on the left-hand side gives it to Iwobi. Back into Bassey. Short touch to Anderson, over to left back, which is where Alex Iwobi's positioned at the moment. Back into the centre circle to Joachim Andersen. There's no high press at the moment from Palace. Here's Chukwueze, who's come across to the right wing. He's going to try his luck up against Tyreek Mitchell now for a little while. Space for Iwobi. Little pocket in front of the Palace penalty area. Gives it out to Kevin on the left wing. Here he comes, all Brazilian flashy, little step-overs. Tried to get the cross in, but it's deflected. Fulham hold on to possession with Bassey back near the halfway line. Just over 20 minutes of normal time to play. It's Bassey to Castagna. Kevin back to Calvin Bassey once again.
It's very congested in there. I just saw Kevin step inside onto his right, put the cross in, and I'm feeling that's not the way forward for him. He's got to get some link-ups, he's got to get some combinations out wide. He's running into traffic, he's got 3 centre-halves waiting for any sort of cross he's going to put in. It's going to take something different.
High ball into the penalty area. Tyreek Mitchell has hurt himself in clearing away. Now there was an arm of apology raised by Harry Wilson there. He did something, I think something unintentionally, just kind of collided with Tyreek Mitchell. Anyway, play goes on. Mitchell hasn't made a song and dance about it. Here is Daichi Kamada down the other end 20 yards outside the penalty area that Crystal Palace attack. Palace playing right to left as we look down the red and blue stripes. Wharton, number 20 on his back, another who wears very low ankle socks. Out to Chris Richards and then back into the centre circle again in Lacroix. We've reached the 70-minute mark. Gehi up towards Uche. Now this is Lerma. Oh, it was a right idea, but he's executed that with too much power. The ball flashes in front of Pino and goes out for a goal kick to Fulham.
Yeah, but they've been good since the substitutions. Palace, you feel that they've got a little bit more beyond the ball, a little bit more beyond the back line. They've got runners, they've got options. Uche's providing he can provide a ball into feet and lay off like he did there, and so what we've got, like 19 minutes. It's poised to be a good finale.
So if you're just joining our coverage, Crystal Palace scored first today. Eddie Nketiah set up by Adam Wharton. Really good finish. And then 18 minutes after that, Harry Wilson equalised ahead of half-time for Fulham. Really good goal. We're looking out for a match of the day tonight. Set up by Raul Jimenez. A 1-2 between Wilson and Jimenez inside the penalty area. Then Fulham thought they took the lead when Iwobi's header cannoned back off the post and was tapped in by Emile Smith-Rowe. However, the celebrations were premature because Fulham were offside in the build-up. So 1-1 it stands, and here is Chukwueze on the halfway line on the right wing. Mitchell very close to him, and Chukwueze has to play it early back to Anderson. Fulham look for some space on the other side, the left. Bassi switching it back again towards Raul Jimenez. Good leap from him, down for Wilson, controls it in the penalty area, just not enough room to manoeuvre, and it wouldn't have counted anyway. The flag was raised and Fulham were offside.
Yeah, ball from deep again, and I just feel with these balls from deep, Jimenez drifting offside, that Palace will take them. They'll be happy with them. Chukwueze's come out on the left and Kevin's out on the right, and Kevin's out on the left, and both of them want to step back inside, and that suits Palace to step back into traffic. I think they're better off switching back again and having the option of driving down the line and asking a different question behind.
Yeremy Pino swivels the full 360 degrees on the halfway line, gives it short to Adam Wharton. Now Gehi will come forward into Fulham territory. Wilson for the first time looking a little bit tired there as he ran back. I mean, they've put in a lot of effort, not just tonight, but that crazy 5-4 game in midweek. And remember, Marco Silva only made 2 changes to his lineup today. It's been a lot of miles on the clock this week. 3 Premier League games in 7 days. Wharton tries to take on Alex Iwobi. Some of the Palace fans thought that might have been a handball. Kevin now looks to relieve the pressure, but he needed a more cultured touch than that. He's just given it straight back to Dean Henderson. 1-1, 17 minutes of normal time to play.
Yeah, much like when 15 minutes ago turned around saying Oliver Glasner needs to make some changes. I think Fulham needs to, Marco Silva needs to make some changes now, because that tide has just turned and Palace are looking more comfortable on the ball.
Oh, clever from Yeremy Pino, but offside. Uche sprinting through. He's not aware the game is halted here. He's not going to score anyway. Leno's stopped him. Flag went up ages ago for offside, and you know, people hate that rule, don't they? I mean, he's clearly offside, everyone knows, but until he becomes properly active and touches it, then it's crazy.
Well, it was actually Pino who was offside, and he never touched the ball. Oh, a little flick from him, yeah. So he did interfere, and if you're certain, stick your flag up, and if you're certain, blow your whistle.
No, and that's why this is a little bit of a different one. So the instruction for the assistants, if they're not 100% sure, they have the flag down. In that instant, the flag went up, but the referee kind of overruling says, well, hang on, I'm not sure if he did touch her there, let's play on, sort of thing. No, I don't know, it doesn't feel right. Anyway, here comes Lerma. Gives the ball to Kamada. Oh, he wasn't aware that Chukwueze was behind. He allowed the ball past him, but Chukwueze gets it back for Fulham. 1-1. Can either of these two teams grab a winner this Sunday evening at Craven Cottage? 5 Live, BBC Sounds and the World Service. Sander Berge to Chukwueze on the right-hand side, still inside his own half. Back into Sander Berge once again. Over to Calvin Bassey. Fulham now come over the halfway line. Wilson tries to make a run, but it's overcooked and carries comfortably through to Dean Henderson. We've got quarter of an hour of normal time to play.
That's that long deep ball again. Palace will lap them up. It's a waste of time. Just a waste of possession. Sander Berge done the right thing to drop back in and keep the ball for a little bit. Just keep it. Just take this thing out of the attack. The momentum that Palace had got, you're just handing it back to him.
There's so many of these Palace players who start every game are involved in every match. Oliver Glasser's made fewer changes between games than any other Premier League coach. They've taken a free kick quickly here. Mitchell low ball in, defended by Tete at the front post, kept in play by Chukwueze. They're going to try and play their way through the Palace press here, but a heavy touch from Iwobi puts the ball out of play, and Crystal Palace will remain on the attack. Right, the home side are about to make a double substitution. So Josh King is going to come on. He'll take the place of Chukwueze, and Sasa Lukic will be coming on in place of Sander Berge.
Two like-for-like swaps. Sure. Where Josh King will go into the equation, but Sander Berge for Lukic is one that there's no surprise to. Central midfielders, Lukic a bit more mobile, maybe look to get forward a bit more. Josh King, very talented youngster, local boy, he's just desperate for that Premier League goal now.
Right, while they complete those changes, there's a goal to tell you about in the FA Cup. Blackpool against Carlisle. Shojo Saka.
Blackpool 2, Carlisle 0. Blackpool so dangerous on the counter-attack. It's Ash Fletcher with the goal. Right-footed shot, right past the keeper. 34 minutes played. It's Blackpool 2, Carlisle 0.
Palace make a change as well. No surprise that Nathaniel Klein doesn't play the full 90 minutes. It's only his third game in all competitions since April. His first Premier League start of the season. And Klein here is replaced by JD Canvot, the French defender, the summer signing from Toulouse. So, great appreciation from the Palace fans for the long-serving Nathaniel Klein. And there was good appreciation too for the Fulham fans for Chukwueze as he went off. They appreciated the effort he put in today. Richards throw-in into the penalty area. Looked for a moment like it was going to fall for Wharton, but Josh King was able to nip in and get there first. Not the best back pass you've ever seen. Henderson had to scamper to get it, but no real discomfort as he flails the ball away downfield. Fulham get it back again on the edge of their own penalty area. Joachim Andersen, 13 minutes plus the stoppages to go. Flag is raised for offside as Fulham tried to come forward there. It's tense, it's nervy here at Crayford Cottage.
It's just got a bit scrappy, hasn't it, with the substitutions. Everyone's kind of sorting themselves out. Where are we playing, what are we doing? Josh King's gone as basically as a second centre forward.
Here come Palace through the middle of the midfield. Daichi Kamada. I feel he's due a goal. It's been a long time. This is Yeremi Pino asking an awful lot of Campbell, who's just come on, and Campbell can't get there, and that goes out for a goal kick to Fulham.
And much as you want to see attacking football, and you want to see it, build to a crescendo, and the closer you edge forward to 90 minutes, both managers might just think, I tell you what, the point doesn't do us any harm, and both managers might just be happy with that. But they've both made attacking options, substitutions, and realistically, it's there for the taking.
This is Joachim Andersen to the centre circle, gives it to Kenny Tete on the right-hand side. 10 yards inside Crystal Palace territory. Everyone back behind the ball for the visitors. Anderson, who loves these crossfield ball, pings one accurately out to Kevin, who controls it, his chest up to the bounce, and now he's trying to accelerate into the penalty area up against Canvo, who stands his ground and does well. He's a big lad for a wing back, is Canvo, and he's able to shield the ball out for a goal kick.
Yeah, he's trying to do it on his own again, Kevin, and you're just thinking, just pass the ball, just find a teammate, pass the ball. It's going to be so hard to go past 3 or 4 of them out there. Even if he does beat his man, he's got another one fresh in the waiting to come and address it. So just a bit of realism from Kevin needed.
Goal kick to Crystal Palace. Fulham 1, Palace 1 on 5 Live. Long clearance up into the chilly night air, comes down inside the penalty area, but Castagna's able to clear it away for Fulham. Lerma tries to launch it back in again, but again overstruck, and that goes out for a goal kick for Bernd Leno away to our left hand side.
You look at Fulham and the position they're in this season, and they've had their problems away from home, and at home you're thinking you need to be winning games because you're not winning many away from home. But a draw whilst everyone else is picking up points, you're thinking that's not a bad result. Palace have beaten a lot of sides this season. They're way up there in the league. You've got to respect them and respect what they've done. So Fulham feeling although they're at home, they might be disappointed with just a point. It's no bad thing.
Crystal Palace are going to Dublin on Thursday. They play Shelburne in the Europa Conference League. 1-1 here, another goal at Blackpool in the FA Cup. Shojo.
Blackpool 3, Carlisle 0. Scott Banks with this one. He cut inside from the right and unleashed a shot from the left, right with his left foot. Harry Wilson would have been proud of it. Brilliant goal. Blackpool 3, Carlisle 0.
You showed your Fulham fans up in arms here. They felt that Timothy Castagna was fouled on the edge of the Palace penalty area. The referee waved play on at the time. He's just come back to see if the player is okay, but I don't think a free kick was given.
No, he just had his foot trodden, I think. Just tracking back. Cambo. Yeah, that's a foul. Clearly stands on his foot, and as Castagna goes to go by him, I'm not sure. They obviously can't take that back for VAR because it's way out on the touchline, but a clear foul missed.
Sam Barrett in charge of his 9th Premier League game of the season. He may have missed one there. Free kick, well, uncontested drop ball really, isn't it, for Dean Henderson. Ball's actually in play. They're all retreating like it's a free kick. That ball had been dropped as a drop ball as Anderson wins a header up against Uche, but the offside flag was raised anyway. Palace coming back from having strayed offside. And Tim Wood is the assistant on the far side.
The game's completely lost its momentum now, lost its flow, and it's difficult. You feel that there's still a moment in the game that could decide it. There still could be something from somewhere, but you just can't see how just yet because it's so scrappy and it is so slow.
Let's see if Kevin could create anything here. Left wing for Fulham. They double up on him. Sasa Lukic, which is just waiting for possession in the midfield. This is Joachim Andersen back in the centre circle. Gives it over to the right hand side to Kenny Tete. Josh King makes a burst into the penalty. Kevin arriving at the back stick. Heads it back across the face of goal and just too high. It's a good run. Decent cross to pick him out. Didn't quite have the penetration with the header though to really threaten the goal.
Yeah, it's a long deep cross from Tete and it was outside the centre backs, and Kevin had all the time to watch it, and of his many talents that he's got, a wonderful footballer clearly. I'm not sure heading's his strong point.
No goals, no assists yet in the Premier League for Kevin, the transfer deadline day signing from Shakhtar. Currently playing wide in the left wing for Fulham this evening. 8 minutes of normal play to go. 6:06 to come with Chris and Robbie. Although you've got an idea for a new name for the show tonight, Rob.
Salah Osala?
Salah Osala. I think it could dominate a lot of the agenda. Do get involved. 08085 909 693. Lines well open for that one. Get involved and have your say, and I'm sure there will be much to say about Mo Salah and those quite remarkable comments that he made last night. That's all coming up with Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage on 6:06 as soon as this game is over. And at the moment there's just over 7 minutes of normal time to play. Raul Jimenez to Josh King, the fresh legs, but he's up against a shrewd operator in Mark Gahey, who just nudges the ball away from Josh King, and Palace get it back, and Wharton neat and tidy in the midfield onto Kamada. Pino has a nice touch too, and they've released Canvo down the right hand side, really charging forward. Fulham trying hard to get back. Kevin slides in. What a great tackle that is from Kevin. He must have run 100 yards to come back and make that tackle. That's unbelievable.
Brilliant defending. Criticised him for his heading. Well, I never knew he was great at tracking back and tackling, but that's really good. And Palace had 4 players in the box waiting for the cross, and Kevin realised that and said, I'll tell you what, I've got to get back and do everything I can, and he did, and it was fantastic.
And there was something wonderfully old school there. So he's made this huge run to track back, tackles down with the corner flag, and while all the fans are cheering, he then immediately sprints back to his attacking position. It's got, it sets the agenda. I'm all business. I really like that about Kevin. 1-1 here on 5 Live. Anderson lumps it forward. Castagna's flick-on header is going to fall for Kevin here. Up against the touchline on the left-hand side, level with the edge of the penalty area. Gives it into Castagna. Terrible return pass from Castagna. You can hear the groans of the Fulham fans, and Palace are going to try and come forward here. Mitchell hounded by Harry Wilson. That was almost as good as Kevin a moment ago. In fact, sorry, it was Sasa Lukic who got the ball back there. Here come Fulham again. Raul Jimenez down the right-hand side. Gives it into Harry Wilson. Urged to shoot, and he does. But it's into the ribcage of the goalkeeper, Dean Henderson, who saves.
Yeah, just a little bit too far out. Harry Wilson on an angle he quite liked, but that would have been more spectacular than his goal, I think, if that had gone in, and it needed everything to be perfect. The width, the dip, the pace, he didn't quite have any of those.
Here is Jefferson Lerma. Just over 5 minutes of normal time to play. Palace still inside their own half. Lerma, the Colombian, allowed to turn. Raul Jimenez not charging in and pressing him. Lacroix gives it to Richards on the right-hand side. Any goal now would surely prove to be the winner. Wharton back to Richards once again. Lerma gives it back to Richards, who's stretching just a little bit. He wasn't comfortable the way that was played to him, but no opponent around him, so no danger for Crystal Palace.
He was not grateful for that ball whatsoever. He got up like me.
Fulham's winning goal against Sunderland 2 home games ago came at the 84th minute. It was Raul Jimenez who scored it. Palace attacking down the left with Mitchell. Great ball in. Uche must score. Leno to the rescue. What a brave save that is. Diving down on the feet of Uche, who'll have felt he's done everything right there. Wonderful flowing attack from Palace, but Bert Leno makes a huge save.
Brilliant decision to spread. Brilliant save, and that was the moment that Palace were waiting for. Uche didn't really get the contact he wanted, mainly because Bert Leno was charging him down and get himself there, but another break forward where they're getting bodies in the box. Fantastic ball across by Tariq Mitchell.
It could have been a big moment for Uche, looking for his first goal for Crystal Palace. It is a corner to the visitors. 2 seasons ago, Palace snatched a late draw here at Craven Cottage. Jeffrey Schlupp scored a late goal, 87th minute to make it 1-1. We're in the 87th minute now, and Wharton is preparing to take this corner. Right-hand side as Palace come forward. It's a really busy, congested 6-yard box, but it comes in low. Rehearse move. Gehi leaves it. Pino puts it wide. Deflected wide at least. What a well-worked rehearse corner kick move that was. It was dummied by Gehi. Pino was ready for it. His shot deflected out for the corner.
I stole him from the edge of the box. Absolutely no one near him. Brilliant block by Bassi.
They've kept that one up their sleeves. It very nearly worked. Here comes the latest corner. Peter takes this one, and it's headed in, and it's Mark Gehi in the 87th minute. Surely to win the game for Crystal Palace and to send them up into the Premier League's top 4 tonight. A thundering header from close range from Mark Gehi, and Palace have surely snatched it at the very end here. Fulham 1, Crystal Palace 2.
Well, the Palace story keeps on rolling on, and it's the captain nicking it at the death. A wonderful cross in. They got away with one a moment before. Fulham, it's just a fantastic ball in at the near post. All the pace he wanted. He's up against Josh King, so he steps in virtually unopposed, but there's 4 or 5 Fulham players around him. He's the one that gets up the highest, bang in line with the near post. He's just got to steer it in. Such is the pace, such is the quality of the cross. They've clung on in there at times, Palace, this evening, but they've clung on with great reward now. They've got moments to see out.
Bert Leno, who made such a good save to deny Uche in the build-up. You know, we're sort of pondering where would the goal come from. It's a well-taken corner. It's a determined header. Surely Palace are going to hold on for this now. We're in the 89th minute. Fulham 1, Crystal Palace 2. Tom Kearney has come on. Alex Iwobi is departing. Harry Wilson's gone off too, having scored an excellent goal earlier on this game. And you think back to that tiny, narrow margin, the offside decision from VAR that disallowed the Emile Smith-Rowe goal. It could have been so different for Fulham today.
Yeah, it was a toe, wasn't it? It was a toe. That's what made the difference. And you're looking, those fine margins make a big difference over the course of the season for Palace. What a huge win this will be. 2 away wins on the bounce. Burnley in the week, and then today they just have to keep on trucking on. They've got a minute of normal time now, and the English away fans, they don't care, they're just bouncing.
Palace fans having the time of their lives. They were behind the goal. They'd have had a great view of that headed goal from Mark Gehi. As you know, this incredible journey that they've been on under Oliver Glasner continues. You know, they were delighted with how they played in the league last season. They've been even better in the league this time round. It's the most Premier League points Palace have ever had to this stage of a season.
They've been fantastic, haven't they? And they've been really, really useful away from home. And you've seen today, sometimes you don't have to be at your best. They weren't at the best against Burnley in the week, but they got the goal that counts. They've stuck in today at times and just had to cling on. And when Fulham had wave after wave of attack, Oliver Glasner made changes at the right time to change the game. And there, when your captain, when you need him, steps up.
Here's a reminder, though, that the tiny margins in the Premier League. I mean, Fulham have not been bad today, but they're about to be beaten at home again. They brought on Adama Traore and Tom Carney as late substitutes here. And we're not over yet. 6 minutes have just been announced. That's improved the humour of the home fans. Half-time at Bloomfield rolled in the FA Cup. Shoji Saka.
Blackpool 3, Carlisle 0. Blackpool ahead through goals from Tom Bloxham, Ash Fletcher and Scott Banks. Carlisle should have been level but for a flying reflex save from Blackpool keeper Bailey Peacock Farrell. But it's the 1953 winners who are in control. Blackpool 3, Carlisle 0 at half-time.
Thanks very much. 6:06 coming up very shortly here on 5 Live. Out comes Henderson to punch under pressure from Raul Jimenez. Fulham believing they might still get something in these 6 minutes that have been added on for stoppages, but Henderson did very well there. Yeremy Pino, that's not a great pass back to Gehi, who's going to blast it away, and he sends it out towards Kamada, but it goes straight out for a goal kick. What Palace need now is nothing silly. Yeremy Pino, unnecessary pass there. They've just got to keep it safe, and they're going to make a late change here. Daveni's going to come on.
Well, that's the last Pino's going to have in the game was that touch, but it was his corner. Fantastic ball in for the goal. His assist that's going to be the difference maker. It's just a case of seeing it through now for Palace. 4 minutes and counting, 4.5 minutes and counting for them.
That corner from Yeremy Pino that set up the goal from Gehi, that's his first assist in the Premier League for the Spaniards. So Justin Daveni comes on. Back to where it all began for him. His Premier League debut was against Fulham last season. That was just over a year ago. He's been brought on here just to keep it tidy and locked down in the midfield, with almost 2 of the 6 minutes having expired already.
You can't see Palace venturing anywhere outside the penalty area now. That back three are fairly well set. 30 yards out, say you can keep it as long as you want, just don't come near our goal.
Anderson has been spraying long passes all afternoon. Josh King tries to cut in, very congested, helped out by Sasa Lukic. Clumsy challenge from Uche, no need for that, and he's given away a free kick midway inside Palace territory. Now this is a platform for Fulham. Tom Kearney wants to take it.
He's eyeing up Iwobi, Traore on the wide on the right, just saying, hold on a minute, he's 1v1 against Tyreek Mitchell. You feel if it wasn't the 93rd minute, he'd just give him the ball. But because there's the urgency and the importance of this moment, you're thinking, well, you've got to get it in the box, haven't you?
Yeah, they've repeatedly looked at Adama Traore, but I don't think they're going to pass it to him. Kearney and Lukic standing over the free kick. Oh, Kearney does give it to Adama Traore. Right, what can he do? Edge of the penalty area, up against Tyreek Mitchell. Makes the burst for the byline. Tries to cut back in again. He's managed to keep it alive here. Kearney lashes it across the face of goal. Anderson up there, heads down. Can Kevin get a shot away? Daveni did well. Anderson involved again. High and Hofer loops it in. Missed by Henderson. And out it goes for a goal kick. And Palace breathe a huge sigh of relief.
Yeah, complete swing and miss. Air shot in Henderson, gets away with it because Raul Jimenez actually gets a touch on the ball as it goes off. You're feeling that might be the last that Fulham have had, and it's a fantastic away win for them. They've got more away trips to come between now and Christmas. Their air miles are totting up, and they've got to keep on trucking, but this will give them a massive boost.
Fulham 1, Crystal Palace 2. Palace who play Shelbourne in Dublin in the Europa Conference League on Thursday. They've got Manchester City at home in the Premier League next Sunday. And these two teams will play each other again in just 25 days' time. They'll meet in the Premier League at Selhurst Park on New Year's Day. This is Gehi, score of what looks at the moment to be a winning goal for Crystal Palace away at Crebon College here on 5 Live. We've played 94 minutes now. Here's Kearney in the midfield, gives it to Calvin Bassey. All players apart from Leno, the Fulham goalkeeper, are inside the Palace half now. Left foot across into the penalty area. Out comes Henderson. It's kicked almost out of his gloves by Tyreek Mitchell, who wasn't trusting that the keeper was getting there, and he wanted to ensure that the ball would leave the penalty area. Adama Traore, little soft touchdown for Kenny Tete. Back out to the Spanish international. It's going to break down here for Fulham. Uche, strong but fair this time, and he'll roll the ball in front of Daichi Kamada, and Kamada doesn't have much support with him here, but he gives it back into Uche, and Kearney challenge on the edge of the tee. Referee says it's a fair challenge, and Fulham get it back again. King onto Bassey, who tries to come forward, and Kamada slides in with an important tackle for Crystal Palace, who are almost there. We're moving into the 6th of 6 minutes of stoppages.
Defending was square, he was on. Uche just had to roll it one more pass and he would have finished the game. That would have ended it.
Here comes Tyreek Mitchell, still plenty of engine speed available to him. He's run so hard all night, but he's thundering up and down that left wing whenever he can. Even without Daniel Munoz this evening, it hasn't set back Crystal Palace. They are now seconds away from a victory here away at Craven Cottage, a game in which they took the lead in the first half. Fulham came back to be 1-1 by half-time. Fulham had a goal disallowed that would have given them a 2-1 advantage, but it took until right at the very end, just before the 90-minute mark, when Mark Gahey headed home for the corner. And as things stand, Palace are moving up to 4th place in the Premier League. Fulham will continue to give it everything. Anderson lumps it forward. Castagna jumping in the air, can't get a touch. Here's Kevin. Delicately gets the ball down onto the deck, pushes it in front of Raúl Jiménez, but that's happened a few times too many tonight. An overcooked pass that goes out for a goal kick, and all around us, Fulham fans have seen enough. They get to their feet, they head towards the exits. The 6 minutes are up, and Crystal Palace are about to celebrate the win.
Yeah, that misplaced pass was celebrated like a win by Oliver Glasner. Dean Henderson just has to kick the ball. It's a fantastic win for Palace. They really have dug in there, used the subs well, come around and taken their opportunity in the second half when they can.
There is the final whistle. Big win for Crystal Palace. The winning goal came in the 87th minute. It's another away goal special for Mark Gahey. So many of his Premier League goals have come on his travels, but he's a man for a big moment. And what a big season this is turning into for Oliver Glasner's team. Winning the FA Cup was such a big moment, but they are hungry, they want more, and they're now into the Champions League places in December.
Fantastic story of Palace, just keeps on trucking. It's been a tight game, one that ebbed and flowed, and you're just thinking, where's that winner going to come from? Two fantastic goals in the first half, cancelling each other out, and then that moment of quality, just the cross into the box, the touch from Gahey was the difference. They stayed in the game. You don't have to play brilliantly for the whole game. What they did do was stay in the game, and they did it to the most brilliant effect. A wonderful away win for them.
Well, for Fulham, it's been quite the week, hasn't it? That 5-4 game against Manchester City, where they were, much lauded but ended up losing. Tonight they've played some good stuff at times. They've scored a brilliant goal from Harry Wilson, but it's that familiar sinking feeling, and for the moment Fulham remain just 4 points above the relegation zone.
Yeah, you're looking at the end of the week now for Fulham, where you just say, well, I think we'd better start looking over our shoulder again. Teams below us picking up points. Lost 2 home games on the bounce against good opposition, but 2 home losses indeed. And looking at those fine margins, should you be leaving Josh King to stop Gahey getting into the box? Do you sacrifice a man at that space to come and attack the ball? You think about Chukwueze's toe being offside for the disallowed goal. Fine margins are going against Fulham right now.
Well, Crystal Palace will continue their way through December now. This busy spell to come. They are in the middle of a run of 9 games in 27 days. There's a spell from mid-December to Christmas, and Palace will play 4 times in 10 days. But when they've got the motivation, when they've got the momentum, when they've got that camaraderie that is so evident from this Oliver Glasner team, it's going to be really interesting to see what they are going to be able to do in the coming months. They are up to 4th in the Premier League for now, Crystal Palace. It finishes Fulham 1, Crystal Palace 2 here. And on 5 Live, it is time for 606 with Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage.